Mfanya nini studio wewe?
As we honor these heroes, it is only fitting that we do it here in Eldoret, the city of champions. Congratulations to you all. Your victories are just not medals that you carry. They are symbols of our national character, a testament to what we can achieve when we believe in ourselves.
Sorry, guys. Congratulations once again for the team that won the Paris, that represented Kenya in the Paris Olympics. And they were number one in Africa. Once again, congratulations to that particular team. What I would like to urge the new sports minister to also emphasize on soccer, which is also going down very, very much now. This team was well received uh, the president and some leaders from Rift Valley, but it didn't reflect the Kenyan image. That is one thing that I noticed, that it didn't reflect. Not everybody was present. Now I urge our political leaders to take a lot of emphasis on sports, on the sporting industry. This is the time that everybody would have come to celebrate this particular team and forget about the money that we are making in parliament. We come one day to just to celebrate this particular team. So it was a good gesture from the leaders of Rift Valley. And being that most of these athletes are from Rift Valley, I think it was just something nice to see the motorcade in crisscrossing the streets of Eldoret. But anyway, most leaders should have been present. We only saw Kalenjin, majority of them welcoming this particular team. So next time, Nyinyi Wabunge, can you style up? Themba, welcome to Africa. Long time, bana. We make an appointment with you, and you become the usual African. We were to have an appointment with you some days back. I don't know what happened. You didn't turn up. You didn't show up. Hmm?
What do you mean, man? I was to call you. We were
Yeah,
not
you
to
were.
have an appointment.
No,
Why are you lying? Why are you lying to
no,
the public?
no. The thing is, you were to
Stop,
call me.
stop, stop,
I
stop,
waited for your
stop
call, and you didn't
misrepresenting
show up.
facts.
All
Why are
right,
you,
only to show up in the
why are you
live.
why are you engaging in propaganda?
No, you are the master of propaganda. You know, you used to call me. I don't know the name you
why,
gave me. That
why,
name I've forgotten the name you gave me. What did you guys? What name did you give me? And how did you think about that name? What was it? I forgot the name. You know, uh, we are peddling propaganda. We don't peddle propaganda. I personally do.
you're the conveyor belt.
Oh yeah, the conveyor belt.
You
Oh
know
no,
the
no, no,
conveyor belt doesn't do
no,
anything to
no.
the material it takes. It just picks and takes to the
And
next part. You know, to the
oh,
next
okay.
reservoir.
Anyway, today I think we need to start a show on conveyor belt. Now, today I'm going to convey for you the real deal. What is happening in our Kenyan politics and why there is a lot of confusion today. Today I was thinking, Themba.
Yes.
I really thought through why Raila joined the government. I was trying to look at all the possible angles why these people had to come together. And then I did that research for hours and hours, trying to dig into the politics and how the voting patterns in Kenya and what is really informing these people to come together now that there is an emergence of, like, there was an emergency that they really had to start working together. Remember, we had got previous riots before, which were organized by Azimio. Well, largely they were successful, but they never pushed the president to the wall to an extent whereby he called on the army for help. He dissolved his whole cabinet. This is a serious thing, but people are not seeing it that way. I don't know whether you are looking at it this way, Mr. Themba. There's a lot of politics in it. And today I was trying to dig into the numbers and data to see what is really informing one Raila Odinga to join William Ruto. And remember, he's also going to the AU. It is largely anticipated that he's going to win that particular position. So I don't know. What do you think before I give you the numbers? Um, just, you can speculate. You cannot. Sometimes you can be accurate. Sometimes you'll miss the mark. Karibu. Temba, you are on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Now, Mzalendo, if we want to imagine that, okay, my thinking,
Mm-hmm.
is just as you'd say, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it is bigger than just the issue of the Gen Zs. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wanted to note something that had been happening prior to the Gen Zs coming in.
Mm-hmm.
At first, there was the largely publicized difference between the president and his deputy. And if you can remember so well,
Mm-hmm.
if you can remember so well,
Mm-hmm.
around the same time is when the deputy president. I mean, there was a time when the two of them, even the media was reporting they were not seeing eye to eye. And
Yeah.
there was even a time when the president gave a presser, then the deputy went ahead and gave a presser almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was around the same time that there was a lot of bravado on a certain group of MPs, if you can remember. If you can
Mm-hmm. Yes.
listen to Osoro, if you can listen to Ishungwa,
Babu Owino.
and if you can listen, forget about Babu Owino first. I want
Mm-hmm.
to give you the side of the Kenya Kwanza government.
Mm-hmm.
If you can remember the time that Osoro, they were really bashing the deputy president.
Mm-hmm.
And you can remember around the same time, Ndindi
Mm-hmm.
Nyoro
Mm-hmm.
was traversing the country and
Yes.
was trying to coalesce certain kind of MPs, the younger MPs, around himself. So it was that backdrop
Mm-hmm.
that, in my considered view, there was a lot of tension within the Kenya Kwanza government.
Mm-hmm.
And this tension within the Kenya Kwanza government, at least it boiled
Uh,
down. The deputy
Temba.
president was, you
Yeah.
can hear me?
Yeah, but I think you are driving. Yeah, yes, I can hear you. Just yes, I can hear you now. Just go on.
Yeah, just stop. So
Uh-huh.
the deputy president, out of self-preservation, started also to put his people to himself. So one of the things that he did was trying to endear himself within the UDA party.
Mm-hmm.
And that he started using Malala.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that internal uh, existential problem,
Mm-hmm.
at some point now, the deputy president decided to use what Ruto had used as one of his campaign tools.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I am the one who is going around. The president is going out there. Well, for me, I'm trying to endear myself within the country. And around that time is when you had the idea of the villager. I'm a villager.
Mm-hmm.
Naskiza ground. You could hear that, and the people started coming up with it. And if you listen to the deputy president, at some point he conducted an interview and he said that for me, even if I go to the cabinet meeting, I listen to them, then I tell them ground inasema hivi.
Mm-hmm.
Hata akisema hivi nawambia ground inasema hivi. So it emerged at some point. Up to today, we've not known what transpired when the deputy president came and said that the NSIS boss should resign. He never apologized. He never said anything. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So still that is hanging there. And the NSIS, of course, you remember one of the claims that the deputy president made is that he retired or he transferred some of the key individuals who
Mm-hmm.
apparently were part of the power system for him again. And you remember
Mm-hmm.
the NIS boss
Mm-hmm.
coming out and saying that the deputy president should tell people the truth. Okay? So
Mm-hmm.
we are looking at all those things together. And that backdrop, then
Mm-hmm.
the bill comes. Okay?
Yeah, the bill
And
comes
this
now. The BAS, yes. Mm-hmm.
yes. So as the bill is coming, the bill is coming at a point where already there's internal rifts and fissure. Okay, and the
Mm-hmm.
word has it that already the deputy president uh, had been told. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Themba. Just go on.
That
I can hear
if
you
this
loud.
if this thing can continue
Mm-hmm.
and the pressure is good enough, then constitutionally he was the one who was going to take over. You see, because
Oh,
you see,
okay. Okay. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
you see, the constitution is that if the president resigns, then the deputy
The
takes over.
deputy takes over. Mm-hmm.
Now, inside the cabinet, remember all of the appointees that had been appointed were largely political. They were being rewarded. You know, so
Yeah, true.
it was not so much. It was not so much of
Mm-hmm.
so much work was not put in terms of the professionalism, like someone
Mm-hmm.
like Aisha Jumu. You know,
Where
so
did she go?
so
Politics
most
is
of those
good.
people were political. You are actually paying back that I came with this vote and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
People like Akina Eli Diwalo, those are just based on the political appointment. Indeed, some of them might have worked, but now there are those people who are awarded because they were close to Gashagwa,
Mm-hmm.
and there are those people who are awarded because they were close to the president. Now, this is what
Mm-hmm.
happens. Once you've already gotten power,
Mm-hmm.
and now you want to use the same people that you went out with, controlling them becomes a problem. Because one, they know you.
Mm-hmm.
So even when you come and speak, for some of them, it was not, they were not seeing like it was something that was so important. Again, the experts had more say than even the advisors at status.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, had more say than even the ministers. You see,
Mm-hmm.
you see what that means. So,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
in my simple estimation, all those things boiled out, and then what happens? The bill happens, and it provides a very good ground, first of all, to shed off, first of all, the people that he had, and now to manage the internal threat. Of course, there was a real threat that was
Mm-hmm.
brought by this, the
Mm-hmm.
the situation at that point.
Yeah, the real fear. The real fear.
The real
Yeah.
fear that, first of all, I'm not. There's fissure. There's a very big rift within the Kenya Kwanza,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the threats is the you see the same tactic that Uhuru used. You get what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yes. Yes.
Uhuru
Yes.
Uhuru saw that the real threat is inside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me bring someone who is going to help me at least manage this threat, and that is where now Raila comes in. So Raila comes in terms of there's no stability within Kenya Kwanza.
Mm-hmm.
And the existential threat is that the deputy president is more interested in taking this power. Okay.
And is there a possibility? Was there a possibility of him taking over power from William Ruto? Was there a path for
The
him?
the reality of the matter is this, Zalendo.
Mm.
Where this is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
The friend of your the enemy of your enemy is your friend.
Mm. Yeah, the enemy of your enemy is your friend. That's a new one. The enemy of your enemy is
so
your friend. Mm-hmm.
so we might come together not because we are friends, but because we have a common enemy.
Yeah, the enemy. Uh-huh.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So in the situation that
Mm-hmm.
Raila is not against Ruto because Ruto stole power,
Mm-hmm.
and Gashagwa comes and says that he wants to team up with Raila's political base. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the reason he wants to team up with Raila's political base because of the existential problem. This is a guy who is running this country the way he wants.
Mm-hmm.
So he could find easier coalition. There's coalition of enemies. So you can be,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you don't agree, but you are engaging in that. Raila will not have participated actively, but you see now that there's ground,
Mm-hmm.
and his political base will definitely go with the other arm that Gashagwa is having. You see,
You mentioned something very interesting. The enemy of your enemy is your is your friend or your enemy. Now
the enemy of your enemy is your friend.
is your
We
friend is your
yeah.
friend. Now you see, this is a very, very, very cautious relationship between Raila Odinga and William Ruto, and even Gashagwa by extension. Everybody is in fear. I don't know whether you look at it that way. Now that you brought in that phrase, I think it is a perfect phrase for them, because they are all, these enemies are joined together for a common goal, to make the government stable. But in between their enmity, there's a lot of fear. Yeah, there's a lot of fear and uncertainty whether it is going to last until 2027. So, what do you make of it? Will this last until 2027, or this marriage of convenience will only last for a few months or years, and then it breaks up? What do you make of this alliance? Mm.
Now, politics is very funny, and one of the things that you need to realize is that the adage that they usually say that in politics is permanent interest, no permanent enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as long as politics works around resources, and normally you look for the you don't look for the good thing, you look for the better evil,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So because all of them, no side is good, but which one is better good? or a better bad? Like we say,
Better,
okay,
but
which one would I rather go with?
yeah,
Like
which
like
one would I rather go with? Yes. Mm-hmm.
yeah, between the two evils, which one is a better evil? Of course, it's uh,
Better,
uh,
better the devil you know than I
that's
think
exact.
that was the phrase that would have been perfect. Yeah,
Yeah, that
better the
captures
devil
that
you know.
captures it.
Mm-hmm.
So Raila and Ruto have a history.
Mm-hmm.
Ruto has been the Secretary General of ODM.
Mm-hmm.
He's a student of Raila. He's it will be easier for them to talk as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to Raila and Gashagwa.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
Ra-
Yeah,
Raila
these
and
are,
Gashagwa don't have a history, and Gashagwa doesn't have a history of opposition anyway.
and they don't agree in so many things
Gashagwa
traditionally.
doesn't have a history of opposition anywhere. Where where
Mm-hmm.
where did he ever be in opposition?
No,
Uh,
Gachagua has been in government in all the government. He was in Moi's government. He was in Kibaki's government. He was in Uhuru Kenyatta's government, and now he rose to become the vice president. He has got. He also comes with a lot of experience in administration. But these are parallel. just to add on what you're saying, this between Raila and Gachagua, they cannot talk politics. And I don't see Gachagua as a politician. I don't see him as a politician.
Gashagwa's mentality. I mean, that is something you'll notice a lot. Gashagwa mentality is those of the DOs and PCs and chiefs of the Moi era.
Regional, yeah, regional commander.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. You need to understand where they are coming from. They are coming from uh, uh, for a long time. There was one party politics
Mm-hmm.
and one party system. It means that they would wake up and there will be baraza and
Mm-hmm.
Kanu will be the party and everybody will be. That is what shaped his mind and of
Mm-hmm.
understanding of politics.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, comes in multi-party, and the administrators of that time, they are largely tools that are
Mm-hmm.
being used by the state to oppress the naysayers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is where
Yes.
he's coming from. He's coming from a bureaucratic system where it is what I say and what I do. Then the other voices should not be listened to.
Mm-hmm.
That is the same voice that you had with Michuki. That is the same voice you had of so many PCs and DOs,
Mm-hmm.
Raburu, those kind of people. The
Mm-hmm.
other PC that was, what was his name? This Kikuyu PC went to Kisumu and killed all the Disco Matangas.
He's called. It's called. This name. This guy was so popular. He's so popular, and he bought a lot of property in Nyanza during his time.
Of course,
Uh,
there's no PCD or DC who did not have land and property because that was the way Moi used to reward them. So
mm-hmm.
Gashagwa is coming from that administrative understanding. Gashagwa were the handmen
Mm-hmm.
of the Akina Rutos.
Mm-hmm.
When Ruto was in Kano. So
YK 92.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
the people who are implementing the Ruto are the policy makers and Akina Gashagwa are the implementers.
You are talking about Joseph Kaguthi.
Exactly, Joseph Kaguthi. You remember
Kaguthi,
Kaguthi?
Kaguthi was the one powerful PC. Those are the guys who used to talk to the president directly. Yeah, that guy was
Yes,
so
and
powerful. Hmm?
and their way of talk will tell you that it was their word or no word. I
Very
remember
true.
one of my
Hmm?
my lecturers at the University of Nairobi called Professor Nyinguro. He was once a DC. He's a
Mm-hmm.
political science lecturer.
Mm-hmm.
Nyinguro is with the same mentality of Akina Gashagwa. Nyinguro, if you ask him a question on political science and he doesn't, you ask him something that he thinks you shouldn't be asking him, he tells
Mm-hmm.
you to shut up. those who have,
Shut up.
those who have, from the University of Nairobi, they should be knowing Professor Nyinguro. Now,
Mm-hmm.
uh, so Gashagwa and Raila, they would what Raila is coming from those who are fighting for the democratic space,
Mm-hmm.
while Gashagwa is coming from those who have been stifling the democratic space.
Mm-hmm.
Now Ruto comes in. At some point, Ruto dared to go against the system, but of course that
Mm-hmm.
was a self-preservation mode.
Mm-hmm.
Then he joined Raila and he became the Secretary General of ODM. So between the two, Raila would be more lenient towards Ruto.
Yeah, of course, because the Ruto, they have worked together. They have, they know each other. At one point, he was the one who was commanding ODM. He was the Secretary General of ODM. Remember,
And you
William Ruto.
remember when the Pentagon, just before that, they had a very competitive delegates to choose who is going to be the presidential candidate.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yes, yes.
Ruto, it was Raila, it was Balala, it was
Mm-hmm.
Mudavadi, it was there were five of them. There's one more,
Mm-hmm.
Joe
Mudavadi,
Nyaga.
Joe Nyaga, yes, but they wanted to be presidential candidates. But what happened?
Then they
Hmm?
then they brought their delegates together, and of course Raila emerged
The
the
winner.
top. Yes, and
Mm-hmm.
Ruto I think was number what, number 3 or number 2? I don't know. Yeah, Ruto was I think number 2.
Mm.
Then Mudavadi was number 3.
Yes.
So Ruto was number 2, Mudavadi was number 3. So Raila was to be the presidential candidate, and Ruto was to be the prime minister.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then of course things happened the way they
Yes.
happened, and when
Mm-hmm.
negotiation started, and now the prime
Mm-hmm.
minister position came to ODM. But now part
Mm-hmm.
of the disagreement was, okay, fine. Now that you guys have struck a deal, and you have said struck a deal, and you have said now we have a prime minister. Since I was the one to be given the position of a prime minister, then I think I should be the prime minister. So those are part of the disagreements that came after that. But anyway, I'm trying to paint a picture of Ruto, Raila being a little lenient with Ruto to talk to Ruto than talking to Gashago. So you can hear me? I can't hear you. You are muted.
I can hear you. I can hear you, Temba. Yeah. Just
So
go on.
Gashagwa, I mean, all that environment becomes very, very convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for Ruto to now plan, restructure, and try to bring a team that can be able to preserve his presidency. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, now you have heard lately, you don't hear a lot of Akina Ishungwa, you don't hear a lot of Akina Dindi Nyoro going around.
Even
You don't
Sifuna.
you don't hear a lot of Akina Osoro, bashing the
Mm-hmm.
deputy president. Osoro was bashing him in every meeting. That is
Mm-hmm.
someone who is the deputy president. He has been given the finance ministry. He has been given who he shouldn't be talking. Stuff like that. So you see that there's a toning. They have toned down a little.
Yeah,
And
and yes, and the president was recently in Kisi with Osoro and it's called and Simba, and the bitter rivalry between the two. I don't know whether you witnessed that, but anyway, continue because these guys have really toned down. I don't even see the Sifunas, the guys of on Azimio side, who used to be in each and every media house castigating the government. What happened to them? Mm.
so that happens. I mean, that environment, like now what you're seeing, they have the political shifts
Mm-hmm.
there. If you realize around the time now when the demonstrations were taking place, something happened, which I know some people will want to say, oh, during the bill, during the demonstration for the bill,
Mm-hmm.
it was across the country.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, you realize demonstrations have been very minimal in especially Luo Nyanza, Kisi area,
Mm-hmm.
Coast. You don't hear that.
Yeah, there are no demonstrations in those areas.
N- Now this
Yeah.
was this was a way of compounding the fact that actually this was organized, and you realize there was a time even the deputy president came and said that I have told the youth in my area not to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, even at Central, they didn't come out. That's when now these guys decided, okay, fine, let's call everybody to Nairobi. I mean, there was no way you're going to call people. There's no way you can call a demonstration if the politicians are not involved. Because you remember, the politicians have a certain political voice. They have their people that they whichever place, however way you look at them, those politicians have people that follow them. A successful demonstration in any area can only be successful if those politicians, because they have the resources.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is going to be coming to demonstrate and maybe someone has not mobilized them. They need to be
Mm-hmm.
mobilized, because after this is a thing, Zalendo. You will wake up, come, make noise, go back home. If you don't have unga, you still don't have unga. But if
Nothing
someone
changes.
gives, yeah,
Very, very true. Very, very true, Themba. When
but if
someone gives,
someone gives you 200 shillings and tells you today you have unga, and then in the evening you are sure that you'll have some unga, you'll have some bread. You will say, okay, fine, I can decide not to do whatever it is. I know I'll have 200 or 500 in my pocket.
mm-hmm.
Now, these politicians, for some reason, they do have some disposable income.
Mm. They do have the money they steal from us is what you call disposable income.
I
Mm.
don't know. That's what I'm saying, for some reason. I don't
For
know
some
whether they
reason,
steal it. I don't know where they get it from, but for some reason they have some. Because how come a politician will all of a sudden wake up and then they're coming to your place? People will create time to come and clap for them.
I am telling you, if you have been in politics, this is so strange. You know, when you get into the village, and the moment you just arrive, even if they have wind that you're only 2 hours away, you'll find the homestead is already full. Everybody is there, and they come. I think it is our people, or it is how the politicians have treated the voters, that they are the solution. So every time a politician is seen around, he becomes part of the solution in society. He becomes the school fees provider. He becomes the most resourceful person in the village at that particular moment. So the village comes to a standstill when the politician is around, and mostly everybody who is coming out there is coming out for to be given some kind of handouts. Either it is handouts or some kind of assistance. So that is what is happening generally in the politics, and you said it very, very clearly, that somehow they have got the money to solve the societal problems. Mm.
And as Mzalendo, let me ask you for. I mean, just think about it.
Mm.
Uh, Today is was Friday,
Mm.
and Wandai is going to his village, and you're seeing guys lining up the street to clap for a cabinet minister.
we
Today is
are, we are
Friday.
it's
Today
just a
is
cabinet minister, yes. Mm.
today is. I mean, look at this. Friday during the day. What I mean, you
And
ought to be.
Friday is a busy day in those rural areas.
It's
Friday
a
is a
busy
market
day.
day. It's a very busy day. Market day. Things are happening up and down. Yeah. Mm.
Why are you, I mean, those are some of the questions probably we need to start asking ourselves. Why would the people be lining up to clap for the cabinet minister? The policies that he'll be making, they are not specific to you. They are general to the whole country. You are clapping for him because he's a cabinet minister, or you're coming to line up, leaving your things to come to him because he's a cabinet minister, yet probably you don't even have electricity at your place.
You don't have that electricity at your place. Uh, I mean, it is sad. Places
See,
like
those are
Ugunja,
the
I am
questions
sure they
now you
must
start
have.
want to ask. Do I leave what I'm doing to go and clap for a person who has been he's been given the job generally benefits him. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah,
If you
it
are a
is his
cabinet
salary.
if you're a cabinet minister, there's no way you're going to get your salary and then you go to your village. that now
These people are brainwashed. Say it. These people are brainwashed to believe that cabinet position is our position, and then it is this a tribal thing. It's this tribal DNA that runs in us. That when a Luo is given position, that is the position for the community. I mean, it's absolute nonsense. People
no,
from.
no, Mzalendo, we have post-traumatic stress disorder. We have trauma because you see, what happened is this: Moi, Kenyatta, and Moi.
Mm,
They made those positions look like handout positions,
mm,
and they were attached to development in your place.
yes.
So for a long time, being a minister was largely associated with the government. You remember one party system. So if you're not in Kanu
Yes.
and you didn't have a minister, your place would not be having electricity. Your place would not have all those provisions because you are not supporting the government of the day. So the state and the party were one. You get.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
any place where people were not supporting the government of the day, for some reason, development was not going there. That went on for a long time, including even Kenyatta. Kenyatta one.
Mm-hmm.
During Kenyatta time, it is
Mm-hmm.
it is it is it is it is post-colonial Kenya who said that all the farms in Limuru could only be taken by Kikuyus, the farms that were owned by the white settlers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why would it be? And in fact, some of those farms and some of them that were even in Nairobi area, those were generally Maasai farms.
Mm-hmm.
So why was it so easy
Mm-hmm.
for the Kikuyus to be the ones who are taking those lands? You see, that was already uh, skewed progress or
Mm-hmm.
even allocation of resources. You see,
Mm-hmm.
so if you are related to power or you're close to power, then you are able to access the resource. So that went on for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why you found some areas that for a long time did not support the government of the day suffered.
Mm-hmm.
So in comes multipartism. But
Mm-hmm.
multipartism is still the same thing. If you're not in power, if you're not of the party of the government, you're not receiving
Mm-hmm.
development.
Mm-hmm.
And that narrative went on even after we got the new constitution. You
Mm-hmm.
see? So some of us are still having that hang up. We are still from that kind of understanding that being in
Mm-hmm.
the government or being in the government of the day, you are more likely to get development as opposed to seeing development as a national thing. Not, I mean, if it's a policy from the ministry, it should apply everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I get surprised that people say, what is the work of an MP? MP is representation, legislation, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, there are three:
Uh,
legislation,
leg-
representation,
and oversight
and oversight.
and
Now,
oversight. Mm.
legislation, representation, and oversight. You represent your constituency.
Yes.
You legislate, then
Yes.
oversight the executive.
The
Now,
executive.
which part of that is begging for development from the executive?
Which part of that is begging for development from the executive? Is it the MP, or it is generally it is the people who are begging for development from the executive. That is naturally what happens. That when you gave a good analysis or analogy of President Moi when he went to areas where there were no developments. This is what he used to say, nimewapatia Mr. Themba hapa kama waziri, kazi yake ni gani? Kazi yake ni to solve the problems of the society. Like if it is the issue of employment, this waziri that Moi has employed is the one who is going to solve those problems, and not the president. That is how we were led those days. And if you see people of Ugunja lining up to receive Opio and I, they know technically that we are still living in the old constitution, and Wandai will bring development to the region without the checks and balances that are now in the 2010 constitution. So this is just like people being brainwashed to think that hiyo bendera ikikuja pande yetu, then it means that development has come. But you put it clearly, it is the salary that has gone to Wandai's pocket, his children, and generally maybe his close friends are the ones who are going to benefit from this kind of arrangement. But Kenya is interesting, Themba. You might
But again, Mzalendo, you don't want to blame people. You want also to say that even our leaders have not moved away from that. You see, one thing that you notice even when the president goes somewhere, uh, Mzalendo, uh, when you go to a place and then you hear this kind of addresses coming up that mtukufu rais, tuko na kitu fulani tunataka utupatie, kuna kitu fulani tunataka
uh,
kupatie. Now
mm-hmm.
that is already telling you that those are the hang-ups of the previous constitution. You don't have to stand in front of the president to say tuko na kitu fulani hapa tunataka utupatie, tuko na kitu fulani hapa tunataka utupatie. As a president, if that falls in his policy, those are things that he
Mm-hmm.
should be coming to say, that
Mm-hmm.
even he should not even be saying. You know, Mzalendo, if we have to ask you to do for us something, then there's a problem. We need to feel
The presence of
your
government.
activity. Yeah, the presence of government. I mean, if I walk, I see roads. You shouldn't be telling me tunaenda kujenga barabara hapa, tunaenda kufanya hivi.
Mm-hmm.
Because it
Mm-hmm.
is in your policy document. If you know by right now, Mzalendo, for example, you know in Kisi or in Siaya, there are
Mm-hmm.
these roads that are for the
County.
central government, and
Yeah,
these
and
ones are for county.
yes.
And they should be by now have mapped and known that as a central government, there are these things that we are doing in every region. You see,
Mm-hmm.
now it should not be looking like, of course, I know it's politics. It should not be looking like when the president comes is when an MP or someone stands and says, Tunakuomba. So it means that whatever it is that you are getting out of the benevolence of the president. Tunakuomba ututengezee hii kitu. Should you be begging the president to make for you something? It
Yeah,
shouldn't be.
it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. And it is not even his work to make those things. They are policy makers. And that is why we have a cabinet. And again, we have devolved government. Some of these things that they might be having could be falling under the county government. So there are some things that the executives cannot do. The other arm of government cannot do that. Like you are telling the president to construct for you classrooms. That one now belongs solely to the county government. If you want a local health center in your ward, that one belongs to the county government. So people should know what devolution is all about and the functions of devolution. So these are some of the confusions that we have in running as this county, or the some of the leaders who, when they are given the microphone, they start spitting some useless talks only to entice the crowd. But Themba, you need to understand that the reason why these politicians also do that in front of the president, so that the constituents can see that the MP or the area representative is doing something. Amewaulizia barabara, uliona niliuliza barabara pale mbele ya rais, mimi nawafanyia kazi, hata kama hiyo barabara haitakuja, lakini yeye alisema behind the curtains. That is what is going to tell his constituents that the president has promised. Sasa rais amesema atatujengea hii, wacha tungoje atujengee. Akikataa tutaona vile tutafanya, tutamkumbusha tu. And here goes, here in come, here goes, and he has done nothing. So that is
You
what is
see,
happening.
you see now, Mzalendo, you have said now that is the problem now, because now everywhere he goes, he says, Aletea, now Aletea. Then right now, you do have so many promises that have not been filled, and inaleta confusion, kwa sababu it was declared without policy.
Hmm. Yeah. So it will bring it. We will continue still being confused. Then that is why we have these channels to inform people, to give them the civic education that they need about the expectation of our leaders and the electors. I always say that the voters are the biggest problems in the Kenyan society. They are the enablers. They're the ones who make sure that these people get into offices without knowing what they want. You have a whole a constituency. They want to elect an MCA to be the MP, and looking back to see what this guy has done, they have done basically nothing in their ward. There should be some standards at least when you're electing leaders. Progressive leaders are very, very important in our society. But our culture has always been, we are ready to be bribed. As we started the show, when the MP shows up, lazima wapatie kitu kidogo. You saw Soro the other day. I have seen almost all the MPs in Nyanza. They have to give out handouts, and whenever they go for a function, even if it is a church function, people will line up to be given some handouts. It is a very bad culture, and I don't know how this is going to stop. So today, Mr. Themba, if you want to be elected a leader in Vihiga, I am telling you, first you will meet the local leadership. They will ask you, uko juu umetengeneza mambo yako? Then you will say, huko iko sawa, iko kila kitu nimeshapanga. Na uko na pesa ngapi? Something so personal. They can even ask you, how much do you have to run this campaign? Because I can get you a team, but you need to have so much to run this campaign. So leaders today, that is why you are seeing even in the cabinet, the people who are coming in, they're millionaires, people who, some of them have got questionable characters, how they got even their money. We can't even be given the statements from the banks that they are claiming wako na hizi pesa. We can't even see how much taxes they are paying. If they have defaulted in their taxes, we will never even get to know. So Kenya is a society that is just mixed up, and we need to keep on talking about this until our leaders are rectified. Now, my next question to you, Themba, is that you saw recently, just the other day, Honorable Millie Mabona. Congratulations, my sister Millie Mabona, for being elected the minority leader in Azimio. Now, the minority leader in Azimio and the majority leader in Kenya Kwanza are both in the same government. What is the work of minority, Mr. Themba? How are these people going to work?
You see, Mzalendo, that one is more of a technical thing than what you're saying. As it is currently,
Mm-hmm.
uh, those are the technicalities they are taking advantage of. the Raila has said legally there's no coalition between ODM and Kenya Kwanza. All right.
Is that
So
statement factual?
yeah, it is factual. There's, I mean, fact in law is if you can prove it. Okay, fact is not imagined in law. You don't imagine. You see, Mzalendo in law,
Mm-hmm.
even if I see you getting a knife and putting into someone's throat, I can.
Mm-hmm.
In law, you haven't killed,
Mm-hmm.
so someone has to go and prove.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see him?
Mm-hmm.
You see now the law does not work by assumption. You see what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
So unless it has been written,
Oh, it's like we lost Themba there, and I think he's in a depression. Themba, we
can you
lost
hear
you,
me now?
but yeah, you can come back. I know you. I know you'll come back. Yes, continue.
So if it is not expressly in the law, Zalenda,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
it's so hard for you to. I mean, you cannot place them. You cannot. That is one. That is one. Number two,
Mm-hmm.
in the Azimio coalition, you
Mm.
know, the the others are weak. You have weak parties in Azimio.
No, we are coming to that. This is, yeah, like weak parties. Which are the weak parties? Weak parties.
Our strength in party is numbers. That is what we are
Yeah.
saying. A
Yeah.
strength of a party is the number.
Is numbers in
So
Azimio?
if you have a party like the strongest party after ODM is Wiper, and Wiper has got no numbers, because I can tell you, if Wiper had the numbers, probably
Mhm.
we wouldn't be having what you're having right now. But you see, Wiper, I mean, ODM is is a big brother in Azimio. So as
Just,
UDA is
use the right word. ODM is the bully in Azimio.
just like UDA is the bully in Kenya Kwanza.
So
So you see,
ODM is
that,
the bully.
those are the things that happen when you get into an equal relationships. You need always to have, when you're getting into a relationship, you need to have equal balance. But
Mm-hmm.
if you are disadvantaged from the word go, there's a problem. You
Mm-hmm.
see, so there's already a problem. They say he who feeds you does what?
You
Controls you.
controls you throughout your life. Just to add
So
that.
so you see, there's no way even if Kalonzo wanted to say that we are not going to support those people, as
Mm-hmm.
long our political scene right now, as long as UDA and ODM have agreed, there's nothing you can do. That, as far as political parties are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
These other smaller parties cannot say anything. Can they coalesce? Can they, power is sweet. So those who are related to UDA, they cannot come out and say that, okay, fine, now we are going to coalesce with the wipe, and then we see what we can do. We punish these big parties. They
Mm-hmm.
can't. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
what we are seeing is largely, political than legal. It's more of a political thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the political problems are addressed politically. If you try addressing them legally, you are going to get lost. So you address them politically, and politically they are okay. You know.
Mm-hmm. You see, yeah, you are right, but you see this dominance of the Orange Democratic movement is already killing the coalition. I don't think by the end of this year we'll have a coalition called Azimio Coalition. We will have everybody chatting their way forward. And I don't know what the law says, if there can be any other coalition partners after forming government, or there is a window to form coalitions before before the presidency is sworn in or something like that. Is there any mechanism that is allowed by law legally, like the way ODM has now joined Kenya Kwanza, and if there are in
By
future?
by law they haven't joined. And you see again, Mzalendo, that's the problem again.
Mm,
We need to understand the law, the legal perspective, the political perspective, yes, but the legal perspective, they haven't joined them. And again, by law, in parliament, we have minority and majority. So anybody who will be minority
mhm,
is the minority party. Minority party, you see?
mhm,
In parliament, is just minority and majority. There's nothing like opposition and all that. So minority is any party in parliament that has fewer MPs. You see?
mhm,
Now, legally, ODM hasn't joined Kenya Kwanza.
mhm,
Is it okay for parties? Because it is not strictly that if you are minority, you shouldn't have areas of agreement with the party that is ruling. You see?
mhm.
Because it is checks and balances. You don't just have to disagree all the time. So
Yeah,
in
there
principle,
could be areas, there could be few areas, but there are very, very few limited areas where you
yeah, and you
don't.
see, even in developed democracies, there are times they have had bipartisan approach to certain issues, and
Yeah,
they have
when the.
agreed and they meet, and the Republicans have met with Democrats to vote on certain issues. When Republican is controlling the Congress, they have had times where they have had to
Government is
meet
about
with.
to be when the government is about to be shut down, things like that. Mm.
Yeah, 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 and you see, they don't say that you have joined the government and stuff like that. You see, so what
Mm.
we are
Yeah, yeah,
saying,
they don't say it.
what we are saying is they have agreed to work together on certain elements, but they are not. You'll never see, because the speaker has talked to President Biden. Now something has to happen. They have joined. No, they haven't legally. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, but now the other debate now comes in politically. Does it
Yes.
cause a problem? Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Semba, it causes a problem, and maybe for proper analysis of the kind of problems that this kind of marriage will cause. Generally, me, this is what I look at it. Right now, we are in a government. We are like in a one party state. Where the opposition, which is minority, but technically you'll say, oh, we don't have opposition. Minority is the opposition. There's nothing like, you know, we don't have minority opposition in the constitution. The minority represent the opposition in government. They are supposed to oppose what the government of the day is doing, and that is what has been the culture since the promulgation of the new constitution. The people who are on the opposite side are regarded as the opposition. So right now, each and every bill, I saw Mbadi say something that really shocked me, that each and every clause on the finance bill, they will now bring it back to parliament so that they can be passed. Now, will there be any kind of scrutiny in the finance bill, the way we had the finance bill being looked into by almost each and every Kenyan? Will there be that kind of scrutiny again in Parliament of any kind of legislation, any kind of a legislation that is being proposed by the national government or by the executive pushing on something in Parliament to go through? Will the minority oppose it? Will they have even the numbers? Mm, the opposition rather, or people on the minority side. We still have people on the minority side, people like in the likes of Slashia, the MP for Mumias. Those are now the minority in uh, in parliament, because technically the majority, Azimio wing has bullied itself into government, leaving Wiper. Wiper does not have the numbers. And I saw Kalonzo saying some statement yesterday that, they are waiting for directions from their party leader. Their party leader, Raila Odinga, do you know Kalonzo said that? Huh? He said they are still waiting for direct. Azimio is still alive. Their party leader is Raila Odinga. I mean, I was like, okay, this guy is not ready for leadership. Mm.
But you
Not
see,
at all.
Zalendo.
Mm.
When you don't have in politics, if you don't have numbers, there's nothing you can say. Okay.
I'm telling you, I felt so. I felt bad
In,
for
in
him.
politics, you can
Mm.
make noise, but if you don't have the numbers, you will be bullied. That's why at some point you realize when Baba was going around, he was saying that you cannot take me there and you don't give me the numbers. You see, so
Mhm.
you need numbers at any time. You need numbers.
Very, very true. Let me take this time to welcome Ashley. Ashley, welcome to Africa. Long time. You have not seen him for a while. Ashley Tena has left. Ashley, I hope she'll come back in just a few. Now, yes, you said if you don't have numbers, then that is a big problem. Now, for Kalonzo to say make such statements, I think he needs to do a lot of consulting with his members so that he knows what to say. People were looking up to Kalonzo to take up the mantle and be the Raila of 2027, but I don't see him doing that. He's not strong enough. He's not spreading his wings in regions like Western and 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 even uh, even where Rift Valley. We are only seeing a lot of Kalonzo in Machakos, Eastern Province. He's not even in Embu. So he needs to like not be this kind of leader that is going to be bullied by these big political parties. It is high time that he needs to make coalitions. I don't see Kalonzo making coalition with other political parties. He needs to start looking for Eugene Mamalo, and they form a good coalition. Now there is also a new political party that might be emerging in Western Kenya. Yeah, that new political party will form again a new shift, a new sharp shift in the Kenyan politics. Actually, karibu sana Africa 24. Today, we are just winding up, seeing how the week has been, and trying to analyze uh, what uh, what this coalition is bringing on the table, and the confusion in parliament where we have minority and a majority in the same government, and we expect accountability and transparency. This was one of the things that Gen Zs were really fighting for. So earlier on, we had looked into why Raila joined William Ruto, and the necessity to join William Ruto, and the urgency at that particular moment. We are just trying to dig into those issues and find out why we are in this particular situation. And should it go on until 2027, then it will bring me to my next political talk, that the Gen Z factor in 2027, looking at the demographies in Kenya. So welcome, karibu sana Ashley. You can greet the audience.
Yes, how are you doing? I hope everyone is okay. Thank you. I've been
Mm.
trying to follow, but I haven't seen you hosting the last few days. But I'm glad that I kind of tuned in and I found you. And I was listening to your very good discussion. And the reason I got in really was because you are talking about the two the minority and the majority agreeing. And
Yeah.
there is one thing we have a misconception in Kenya, that the majority and minority should always disagree. Actually, in a working government, a good environment, they should agree. The more they agree, it is for the betterment of the citizens of the country. So even like if you see in Western countries, an example, the US, when a president comes, he says, I will be able to reach across the aisle. That is supposed to be a virtue, not a vice. If you can convince the other side to support your policies, then you go. So it is not a disadvantage. And by the way, the opposition, who we are supposed to call the minority, should not always disagree. It is not their duty to disagree. It is the duty of every MP to check the government, whether they are in minority or the minority, majority or minority. They should both. All their duties are to check the government, and the government means the executive. But now in Kenya, like now I watched this MP, Kawanjiko. He was visiting the US and he was being interviewed. And he said the reason he supported the bill, the finance bill, is because he is in government. And I said, one of our problem is even our own MPs do not know their responsibilities. They don't know their duties. They do not know their roles. We have people in offices and they don't know why they are there. How can he say that he is supporting it because he is in the government and that is what the government wants? You see, like in the US, what they do when they have a bill, they try to convince the other side to support them. And sometimes they have what we call pork. You know those things you are talking about, roads? They say, I am going to support your bill, but I have this thing that I want you to do in my county. If you do it, I'll support your bill. So there's that give and take. There's no bribing, but that's what they do. So you agree. So they can try to convince those moderates to support them. It's not a bad thing. Now, where the bad thing is coming in Kenya is because once they go in bed with the government, which is not bad because it fosters development, because if policies are enforced, if bills are passed, then they help the people. Now, if the difference between somewhere like the US and in Kenya is that the Kenyans leaders, they don't put bills that help the people. They put bills that are detrimental and oppressive to the people. So that is why we talk about check and balances. That is why the opposition, who is the minority really, is supposed to stop the government or the executive excesses, because most of the time, the MPs that are in the majority do not stop the government excesses. Do you know that a president can be elected with a minority? Like in this government, initially, when Ruto was elected, he had a minority. So it is not always that the government will have the executive or the government, that the administration of the day will have the majority. But if it had stayed like that, he would have had to work extra hard to convince the other side to support his policies in a good, productive and environment. He would have had to sell his idea to the other side, not by bribing, because these policies are for the people. Now, the difference between the US and Kenya is that the policies in the US are for the people. So the problem becomes on what is a priority for the people. Do we want universal health care, or do we want, stuff like that? But in Kenya, when you look at the things that they are doing, like now the things that this finance bill that was dropped, it had office of the vice, the office of the first lady, the office of the second lady getting money, confidential. Those things should not, even the people in the government, the MPs in the majority should refuse those things. One thing I read about in the constitution is that Kenya is a secular state. It is not a Christian state. So how is it that Ruto's wife is paying a pastor in a secular state? That is illegal. That is unconstitutional. And I don't know up to now why no one has taken her to court. In that pastor they are paying, they should pay themselves from their own pocket if they think that that's a necessity. It should not come out from our taxpayer. So that's the difference between Kenya, and that is why when Kenyans worry when our minority goes to bed with the executive, because they will keep quiet when the executive is doing things that are oppressive, things that are outside of the constitution. Like now, so many people were killed. Many people have not been found. We saw bodies coming from the Mukuru Kwanjenga. Up to today, even Ruto has not talked about them. That is a security concern. No one is raising anything. Nobody will say anything about it because, you know, Raila went there, but now he can't really talk because he is in bed. So he will start looking the other way. That is where the problem is. It is not that they are going to work together. We want them to work together because the more they work together, the more they bring all the experts together, the more our country grows. However, this is not what is going to happen. What they are going to do, they are going to start stealing, they are going to start a lot of corruption, and nobody is going to talk. That is where the problem is. That's my present. That's what I wanted to. I came to.
Yeah, just to add on, and this has not come out in many of the forums that this marriage. My thinking is that it was a forced marriage between Raila Odinga and William Ruto, and somebody must have forced it. I think the development partners forced these people to work together because they had studied the political landscape and said, you know, bringing Raila on board will calm the country and foster development and bring that confidence that people need to see that is happening in government. Today, Raila's supporters you have seen in Mombasa, they are having confidence with the William Ruto's government. In Nyanza, where they were opposing William Ruto, they are now praising him so much that, you know, he is going to be given another 5 years, another term for 5 years unopposed. That is the thing that is the talk in town right now. So that kind of stability is what the Western nation were looking for in by pushing these people to work together. They are not really friends, as we might be saying. They are not. They are friends, but they are political enemies who cannot like be on the same table. But they have been forced by somebody to work together. Many people are not seeing that, but that is the reality. This marriage just came from somewhere. It was a directive that you guys must work together. Yes, Ashley, you wanted to say something.
I think I feel people keep saying, "Oh, we need to reject the West." The West, I think, is a friend. If you can go down and sit down with them and reason with them and convince them your side, they will support you because they say they stand for democracy. And I want to think that it is not those forces that have forced them to come together. I feel like Raila has been duped. Today he was walking like he wasn't all there. So you don't know his handlers are being paid to make him. Anyway, I don't know, but he didn't look 100%. So you don't know even that his insiders. I wish his wife accompanied him more, because you don't know what could be done to him for him to say things or to do things that he would not ordinarily do. When I watched him today, I was concerned that even the decisions he's making might not be his own, but being made to make. If he could be given someone's hand to shake, even the decisions that he's making could be someone else's with just his signature. I will also say this. He said something very interesting that should provoke you to think further, when he said that Uhuru called him to tell him to Ruto, and then Ruto called him. So I am seeing that he did not pick up the phone himself. I am seeing that Ruto and Uhuru had a discussion before, and then Uhuru called him, and then he said Ruto called him. So let me tell you, when Jay-Z started saying that they were going to go after money and the odious debt and illegally acquired property and corruption and all these things that have happened in the government, it could have spooked Uhuru into action. Even though I feel he had started the Mandamano to put Matiang'i in there. Now, this is my conspiracy. He started the Maandamano and his aim was to bring Matiang'i. And why do I say this? Because in the climax on the 26th, after the parliament was raided, the Matiang'i's case started coming online. And I am like, wait a minute, what is going on here? So my conspiracy theory says that Uhuru started this, and I say this, I'm not going to allow this. And I went online and I put I exposed what I know about Matiang'i with the Miguna and all those things about bodies at Livayara, because if they are going to remove Ruto, I think Matiang'i is even a worse version of Ruto. So so now, because people somehow do not want Matiang'i, so I'm still going on with my conspiracy theory that then the plan of Uhuru didn't work, because let's say the person who started is Uhuru, I'm just saying, and he sees that his plan is not working, because if he has only told a few. So the other majority don't know why they are doing it. So it is for voices like ours to speak up and to speak the truth. And then the tide starts going the way they don't want it to go. And then this new tide starts saying we don't want any politician, we want new people, we want to investigate who has been stealing our money. So Uhuru calls Ruto, or Ruto calls Uhuru, and they're like, you stole too. So if I go down, I am going to expose what you did when you are leaving, or blah, blah, blah. So they decide we need to talk to Raila, because Raila has a lot of supporters. And I am so ashamed that these people in Nyanza are starting to support Ruto, because in this Maandamano, the most people who died are Luos and Kikuyus. So when we support them, that means our children died in vain. And that blood will continue to cry. And as long as it cries, our country will continue to be oppressed. That is my presentation.
Themba.
So I sometimes I find it very interesting when I listen to some of these conspiracy theories. There's Kenya is a constitutional democracy, and we still have the constitution. And there's whoever could have thought even bringing someone else, or those other names that were flying across the whatever, that you want to bring someone under the current constitution, that is unimaginable. The first thing is, if the president would resign, for example, I mean, let me give scenario one. If the president would resign, which is not even something conceivable right now, the next person to come in is Gachagua. Then you see, that is the constitution as it is. Now, of course, there's now there are these things that I think, I don't know, for some reason, some people are selling to the Gen Z, oh, we don't want these people, we don't want any politician. I mean, those ones are good to say, but they're not practicalities. And number two is this. If these people you're talking about, I want to give you a scenario, Mzalendo. There's a popular statement that was said by PLO Lumumba when he was the anti-corruption czar. He said corruption fights back, and it fights viciously. That was a statement that Lumumba said. You don't expect to go anywhere when you go saying that we are going to remove these people, we are going to remove this person, we don't want anybody who has done this and this. This we are going to fight back. They are going to fight back. and they'll fight. You don't have the resources. You don't have the mass with you. I said this. I said actually at some point I told people you cannot envision winning when you don't have the population behind you. If you envision a revolution, there has to be there has to be certain parameters that can make you see it into a reality. Which, in my view, first of all, you create enemies. We don't want these politicians. You're going to return every coin that you did, so you are creating enemies in the process. And I told you, Mzalendo, the enemy of your enemy is your friend. So the coalition of those people who have either stolen or whatever they have, that these people are saying that even anybody that has been seen before, they're going to return. They'll come together and definitely they'll coalesce to defeat whatever purpose you say. So part of the thing I said is that the people behind the revolution ought to have been a little, in my view, a little wiser. Even if you're going to, yes, that is part of what you're going to do. You better first, they say first things first. Get there first. Then now start doing the other things that you want to do. Get there first. Get into leadership, and then now you start saying, okay, fine. Now, these are the reforms or whatever things that you want to do. But the moment you have already, a thief does not tell you that tomorrow I'm coming to steal from you. You'll get prepared. The same thing like those um, the things that are the so-called revolutionaries are trying to say, oh, we are removing all of you. That cannot scare the people who have been amassing this wealth for all this time. It is not. It is not. In any case, it brings them all together, and they become more vicious in fighting. People are saying, "Oh, Jimmy Wajigi. Jimmy Wajigi is part of the bourgeoisie. Jimmy Wajigi is in the system. Is part. In fact, Jimmy Wajigi is the one who brought Ruto and Uhuru together. He said it. He said they signed a deal together in his house. So these are the same people fighting together. Right now, they have started another propaganda, and they are fighting. They are bringing you guys together. The MPs, Akina Babu Owino, have coalesced, and they're saying that we are going to join the Gen Z. Hakuna kitu hapo.
No,
They're
no, no.
trying to be.
Temba, for that group of Babu Owino, they are too scared. They are too scared to make the move. For Babu, you listen to their statements. Their statements they tend to be, to come out strongly with a lot of vocabulary. But at the end of the day, when you analyze what Babu Owino is saying, this is somebody who is scared so much to leave the
No,
coalition.
those ones have been sent. Those that have been sent to neutralize the Gen Z thing, the
Yeah,
revolution thing. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
you can't say you want a revolution and then you talk about Maino and Jiki being part of you. I mean, was Wanjigi being part of a revolution? Which revolution is he being part of? Anyway, the people that you want to see in your corner, and then you're saying this person, they're the same bourgeoisie. They're the same people who are at the top of the thing. You can't say that now we are fighting with these people on top. You're already in another fire. You're already in another. You'll move from frying pan to the fire. But anyway, back to what was being said. I mean, what has been intimated that all names were coming, so and so is going to be put. That cannot. That, in my view, would not cause any problem. You can mention all the names unless it is an election. But a revolution, you say that now we are removing these people, then you are bringing this. There's no system. You can't again say that you want to bring people, then they say we are going to investigate. Which arm? Which arm of, I mean, what are you going to use to investigate? How long will it take for you to put that arm that is going to investigate? Because you can't come and say that Mzalendo, you go and investigate the money that was used in Eurobond. You need a body, you need a constitution. Now, you can't throw that constitution away and decide that you're not going to use it, then come and say now you want to investigate. What are you using to investigate? Is our constitution working? It is all working for us. Those bodies are not working. They're not working. What process will you use to take them away? Those are the questions that every time when I hear, we want to come, you guys, all of you have to go. Nobody who has been in politics, we will want to see. Who are these people that will not want to see? What criteria will you tell Mzalendo that you are not qualified to hold a job because you have held a job before? Will that be a constitution, or it will be someone saying that I don't want so and so to hold a job? That is anarchy. When you live in a constitutional democracy, the constitution decides who holds a job where. The constitution does not look at anything. If it says that you are allowed to hold a job up to this time, if you're in government, you're allowed to be. If the constitution says that you can apply to be a CS, you apply to be a CS. You can say you have been a CS before, you should not come. Does the constitution allow? If it doesn't allow, unless we say we are going to throw the constitution away, then we start first of all coming up with a constitution. Because again, if you give certain people to sit and decide who is not going to be there, that's another dictatorship you're creating. So we must think outside the box. It's not just like a 1+1. We start by, first of all, what does the constitution say? And that's where Mzalenda wanted to say that we seem not to have understood our constitution. There are things that the county government should be doing. I haven't seen anywhere where even those people are saying we are calling for a revolution. I've gone to counties to say, has the county delivered? Has it not delivered? We should be seeing things starting from the county, because our constitution has 48 governments. There's a central government and 47 counties. There are things they should be doing. Now, have they been held accountable? There are bodies that are given that mandate by the constitution to investigate. Have those bodies delivered? Now, if someone goes to court, should the president be interfering with the court process? Those are questions we want to ask ourselves. There's a question like you're asking, the president has not spoken on these things. Should the president be attending to things that the constitution has given to other bodies? Do we still want to be in the Nyayo era where the president was felt everywhere? Yet the constitution provides for certain things. Now, beyond the president saying that, okay, fine, the investigation in this thing will be done, what should the president do? Should we see him practically going to investigate? I mean, those are questions that we need to be asking, because if we keep talking without necessarily interrogating what the constitution says about it, then we can abrogate the constitution and then come and say that the president has actually gone against the constitution. Yet we are saying we want accountability. When we want accountability, who should be accountable at what point? What should the county be accountable for? I mean, jobs. How many counties have created jobs in their own counties? What are the things that should be happening? And there are several questions and there are several arguments, in my view, that I think some of them are informed by misinformation or not understanding, especially how the constitution is supposed to be guiding us. If we are constitutional democracy, then let's be a constitutional democracy. The constitution says we have one central government and 47 counties. Each of them have their roles and responsibilities. We are no longer in the one Kanu regime. I mean, one party regime. I mean, one central government where everything is from the central government. We need to see counties being held accountable. I mean, people going to counties are saying, what are the things that are supposed to be happening there? Demands being made in those particular counties. Is it wrong for the population to make demands? There's nothing wrong. Then this obsession that we have with, if Raila doesn't talk about something, people are not going to talk. I think that again, in my view, Mzalendo, is post-traumatic disorder. We are too caught up with Raila being talking in this space that we have forgotten that there are other voices that could actually speak to things that the government is doing that are bad. There are many voices that can be speaking. We have so many civil society groups. We have so many other individuals, not even politicians, who are speaking and who speak every day. They may not have the big political voice, but they are speaking. Why don't we listen to them? Why don't we want to give those particular voices even rally around them so that we are not leaving it to certain politicians to determine the conversation? That if it is not them talking, then there's nobody who is going to talk. I think I want to stop there for now, Zalendo. You are muted.
You brought in a very important subject or topic about the county government, how citizens should participate in this county government. And these services have been decentralized. That was a good strategy for governance and to improve accountability. Now, what the constitution never addressed is that some of these counties are controlled by political parties largely. So we have one political party without any minority in the assembly, and even if there is a minority, they're already absorbed in those assemblies. So we have a one party state in each and every county in Kenya. So the oversight role cannot be played by the same MCAs who are in the same political party. Now, the people, the people who should participate actively in the county, in the running or oversighting the counties, are the civil societies. But the civil societies are they are so much concentrating on the national government than the what is happening in the county government. A lot of corruption is happening in our county government, and you all know, each and every time you are seeing them in the Senate, you are seeing counties being dissolved and all that, uh, governors being impeached, and it is a sad scenario. The constitution of Kenya never addressed a situation whereby we will have a governor who is head of a political party and running a county with MCAs of the same political party running that county. How are we going to oversight such a county? The Temba.
But you see, Zalendo, the county ought to work just like the national government, where you have the minority and majority, and the work of the MCA is the same thing: legislate, represent, and oversight.
No,
Now,
Temba, this is the situation. This is the scenario. Every member of that particular county assembly belongs to political party X. Every single member belongs to political party X. So who is going to perform the oversight?
you
Zalando,
see,
but that happens
you
in
s-
like the US where we have red states, but that doesn't stop them from performing for the people. What we have a problem with is corruption. The problem is it starts at the top so that our institutions do not work. And that is why people are concentrating on that top. Because if we get the right person at the top, even the counties will work. That's the problem. It's not that they are all from the same party. We have the same here.
No, no, no.
It's a
The scenario is so different here. The scenario, if you have the red
there's no
states,
corruption.
they are
now,
the majority. They are the
now
majority. Yes,
Zalendo, you can't. Those people didn't find themselves there. Okay,
they were
you
elected.
are they were elected, so we cannot blame them for being many in the county assembly. They campaigned. It's the political process. It's universal suffrage. They campaign, and that particular the whatever party they were in voted them in there. They are voted into that space. Nairobi County has more ODM MCAs who are controlling the whatever the assembly, and the speaker is ODM, but the governor is UDA, and they are working together. Now, this is the thing.
How is their working relationship?
I mean, they are working for whatever reason. At least it's working. But this is the thing.
Yes.
You. I think Ashley said something about checks and balances. You don't just check; you also balance. So you need to see, is it the interest of the people? Now, as much as it's the interest of the people, you don't just need to check. You also need to balance. Is it something that works for the people? Then you go for it. Now, I also want to say this: beyond just checking the executive, counties can be creative to tap into the resources within different counties. Just like here, states are creative. There are states that are richer than others. There are states that have certain kind of provisions that are not in other states. There are states. You remember during Trump time, there was this. Was it New York governor, or the one who
Cuomo,
Cuomo was from which state?
New York.
Yeah, I mean, Trump could not tell him anything. He could respond to him anyhow, because you see, he knows the power
Governor
that
like
this.
that.
Yeah, he knows the power that the state has, and they are allowed to even create certain economic resources. If Kenya would, I mean, if the counties would focus on even tapping on the resources within the county, creating jobs within the county, coming up with the things that they could even make those counties better than if there could be inter-county competitions in terms of building the county. You get. We would want to start being less obsessed with the central government. You see, but you see, when you're seeing a governor, you do have like Turkana. Turkana has oil. What is it that the county is doing that oil is going to be beneficial to the Turkana people, that will make the Turkana people's life better? That sometimes you can say, because Turkana has oil, they are probably, when you go working in Turkana, you'll be paid more. Like right now, maybe if you go working in California or other places, you are paid more than other
Yeah,
places.
that's true.
You see, we need to have certain kind of debate that goes beyond changing the president, because you can change the president. Ruto will come after 5 years, he'll be gone, or 10 years, he'll be gone. But if the problem has not been sorted from down in terms of us appreciating the framers of the constitution and what they had in mind, the constitution had in mind decentralization and over reliance on the central government. So if we are still going back to say, in my view, if we are still going back to say, if you change the president, even if you change the president, we still have 47 counties. 20 and 47 counties are 47 governments. They do have their operational framework. What is their operational framework? How, if you look at the constitution towards the last, it gives you the relationship between the county government and the central government. There are things, even if you change, even if, as long as you have the current constitution, even if who came to power, there are things they wouldn't do with the constitution as it is. So
So the problem. Go ahead.
for me, I envisage a situation whereby we are going to first understand the constitution, understand the framework the way it is, and then empower the counties. The thing that because there are counties that are Mzalendo, if you listen to, I think there was it a statistical thing that was brought last time, when we give these statistics and we bring them and say that this county is doing better than others, what are the things we are measuring? Are we measuring job creation? Are we measuring economic development? What are we measuring really? If still we are going back to the central government. So in my view, if we can have less obsession with the central government, less obsession with changing the president, and focus more in building the counties in terms of economic, in terms of response to uh, job creation, in terms of looking at what are the strengths of each county. Maybe that could be a more focused conversation that would help at the end of the day, in my view.
You said a lot of good points. Unfortunately I didn't write them down, but there's one where you say that if one county is better than the other. What I'm wondering is how much of the revenue that the county makes do they get to keep, and how much of it do they send to national government? So if we let the counties keep more of their revenue, maybe they will be encouraged or have more incentive to create more. Because like now the one man one vote 1 shilling is about some counties thinking that they are giving more and getting less back. So instead of sending all the money to national government, I think it should be a certain percent that the county sent. So if you make more, it will benefit the people at the county level and not send it all to the national government and then the national government gives it back to you. But we have also known that there are some the governors who take that money and use it for campaigning. And that is why I want to go back to corruption. If we have a working system, our governors, people say if you go and investigate these counties, most of them, almost all of them, have taken money away from the people. The money that have been pumped in the counties is too much. It should have done more than it has done. So again, we go back to corruption. So if they are getting this revenue and they are putting it in their pockets instead in off to the people, then we will never progress. So we have to tackle the corruption issue. And if we tackle that, then we'll be able to have governors and counties that work, and then the national government will work. But we also have to investigate how much, or if you do you know how much of the money that is made in the county level is taken to government? Do they give it all to the government and then government appropriates some of it back to them, or do they just give like 10% to the government and keep the rest? And that could be where the problem is.
I think actually, you guys are so right, and you're so on point about the counties. We need a whole program on counties, and because we are here abroad, and you are seeing how governors are working in this country, in these counties. You know, largely the Kenyan constitution was borrowed from pieces in from the US, zingine wametoa sijui wapi, India, and all that. So they came up with this constitution. But the people who are now given the responsibility, they have not really read their roles, especially the governors and the representatives who are going to represent the people in the county assemblies. At least the kind of money that has been pumped in the counties, actually, you put it right. We should see a lot of things. And Themba said it that the counties should be competing. There should be counties in Kenya where health services is so good that you go to that particular county, you find a cancer center, you find a modern hospital, you find laboratories that are very very modern, and these are ways of tapping, of bringing in resources to the county. And within a few years you'll realize that some of these counties that are bringing in they are doing good constructions of facilities and modern things that can help the people and society, will attract a lot of revenue from outside. That is the only way. And for some time in my county where I come from, we were going to the neighboring county for medication because the governor could not hack it. He didn't know that an hospital is so important. So these are the facilities that could bring a lot of revenue. But the current leaderships, the way it is in the county government, they are very very political. They are very very political, and they don't know what to do with the counties. Is it for them to amass wealth? But what we should also know is that the money coming from the national government is solely for development. When you see ESCC saying that in the IFMES, we have not seen any development that your county has done with the billions that we have given you. And it is true. If you don't see any new construction or any new development happening in the county government where you are from, then know that the governor in that particular county is eating the money that is meant for development. We should see stadiums coming up, stadiums, and look at the kind of craziness these governors had to build stadiums. Instead of building good modern stadiums, they are building substandard stadiums that cannot be approved by FIFA. That was an opportunity to build a modern facility that other teams. So now that we are going to host the AFCON, we can pitch for AFCON, and we have got all these facilities in the 47 counties. But we don't have such kind of leadership. We don't have that kind of leadership, and it is sad. We need to have a whole program on that particular subject. Ashley, Themba, or Ashley, anyone can go first.
You see,
Just say something.
Hmm?
you
Can
see,
I say
you see.
something just 1 minute, if you don't mind?
Yes.
Something that you said about the president. I think the president is, I have never seen a president of another country go to look for, to take the best of their people to other countries to progress them. In fact, one of the reasons that the Dreamers Act was enacted in America is because they did not want to deport people they have educated, because that is a loss. You cannot educate a person all the way to university and then export them. That is so dumb. And if anything, on that alone, I would say the president should be impeached. You cannot start sending your people out when you, in your own hospitals, there are no nurses, there are no doctors, you don't have teachers, you don't have personnel, you don't have labor. And then instead you educate people, you up to the university level, and then you send them to other countries to grow those economies, and you have a dilapidated economy in your country. That should be just, it should just be automatic impeachment. That's all I wanted to say.
Actually, you've got some wild. I think those are dreams right now with the current setup the way it is. We can only have those wishful thinking that the president can be impeached. With the current setup, no way. I don't think even any the number of MPs who are going to support such a bill is even there. There will be very very few to support that kind of bill. We want to look at practical solutions to the current leadership in Kenya, the counties plus the executive. What we can do to inform the executive. You'll be surprised the kind of ideas that you give in this particular show. The government implements them almost immediately. So there are some things that we can look into, but there are some things that we can advise the government, and they implement them because we live in the first world where apparently there are some things that work, although everything is not very very perfect, but there are some things that work in the first world. So we are in a very very good topic. The counties, how we can ensure that there is service delivery to the people. Yeah, because right now kazi yao ni kukula tu pesa. They're just eating the money that they are being given by the executive. And even if I understand that even if the NCACC come with evidence that this is what is happening, they are taken nowhere. I want to give you a story of how investigations are done by EACC and how these MCAs and the executive get away with it. Now, if there is a bridge that is supposed to be built in my village, the bridge is called Ashley Bridge. So Ashley Bridge has been constructed in another county, in the same county, but in a different constituency by Pemba, who is the MCA in that particular area. The investigator is coming from Nyeri, for example. He comes to my county and then is given that, we want to see the physical structure of this particular bridge that you allocated 60 million. This bridge was supposed to be built in Ashley's constituency. He has already taken the 60 million. They take the investigator to Themba's bridge that was already commissioned and it is working, and that money is lost like that. So in the report, this guy will write, since they don't know the area so well, they'll write, oh, we saw the bridge, it has been done, imekamilika, kila kitu imefanyika, and you're fine. And he is given some check somewhere, and kule, look the other way. And that's how things happen in most of these particular, on these counties. In these counties, we have the Minister for Health running a chemist next to the hospital that is his chemistry, and everybody is instructed by the doctor or the physician to go and buy medicine in this particular pharmacy. This you have to buy medicine in this particular pharmacy. So some of these services are actually run by the political class. So even as much as we are trying so much to have accountability in the counties, but we need to do a lot. Need to be done. A lot needs to be done. Yeah, Temba.
Zalendo, we need to understand, in my view, our the genesis of our problem. So the 2010 constitution comes in
Mhm.
and it creates job opportunities in the name of counties. We have been having one. We didn't have counties before then, and then because we don't have counties, most of the civil servants and those who are in government are the ones who are making more money. Then counties come in. Who ran to the counties? The high level civil servant who had made money out of corruption in government are the ones who go to become county heads. So what is devolved at that time is the same bad behavior, only that now it is in a large scale. Because county will be receiving some money, the same money you are receiving maybe as a PS, a minister or somewhere. Now you're going to receive it as a county government. So the transition from the previous constitution to this constitution, part of it we transitioned with the problem that we had. It was in our gene, it was in our DNA. Now some counties were very lucky; they didn't get the civil servants to be their heads. Now those counties, if you look at them, they have tried to do better than other counties. Most counties that were led by civil servants, previous civil servants who became governors, they have had problems. You have had a lot of corruption issues coming from those counties. Kirinyaga County, some of those counties you can name them. But some counties that were lucky not to have civil servants who had bad behavior going to be governors, you are likely to see certain services working out, or even some civil servants who are a little bit more professionals. Like Makueni County was lucky to have Professor Kivuda Kibwana. In spite of him, but before he came to government, he was in the civil society. So he had pretty much spent his life in the trenches, fighting to have the constitution and stuff like that. So he had better behavior. By the time he came in, Makueni County was even producing some milk. I don't know if they still do. So those counties that were lucky to have career professionals come in as county governors, they seemed to have progressed in certain areas. Those that were led by civil servants, they seem to have a lot of corruption issues because the same bad behavior was transferred there. I'm trying to address the idea of corruption being stopped. Now, when we start, I think we are in that process of trying to now, they are being weaned off. Most counties now are getting some professionals, Homa Bay County, you're having some people coming in who are largely professionals who do not have hang-ups from the previous constitution. You can receive certain reports coming from those counties where now they are beginning to now focus more on developing the county. One of the things we would want to see quarterly, probably every certain time, where counties give out progress report on how many jobs they have created within their county, on what are they doing. I don't see. Just like we should be receiving the State of the Nation address from our president, we need to be receiving the State of the County address from our county governors to give a report on what is it that you are doing to address the joblessness within your county. What is it that you are doing in terms of development, healthcare, the things that were devolved? What is the state of the county? Because once you have the state of the county, what we hear largely most of the times is blaming the central government. We haven't received this. The next thing you see here of a county is a governor is being impeached. Why should we only be hearing when they are blaming the central government for not releasing certain money, or they're being impeached? We need to hear what is the state of the county in terms of sports development. What is the state of the county in terms of healthcare? What is the state of the county in terms of certain economic areas, job creation within the county? So that now the conversation is more of a proactive conversation than reactive conversation. Because once we start receiving those updates, now we are able as a citizen to now look at how do we evaluate them? Is this a working county for us? Do we want to change administration? I mean, if we start receiving those kind of things, we get away, because once you hear that Mzalendo in this county has been able within the last few whatever to create this in their county, then you can provide some challenge to another county, and they say, hey, how are they? We need to even benchmark with each other. We don't need to go to I don't know which country. We can benchmark with each county. Another thing, I don't understand why we should be having CDF money sent to MPs to control this. Why don't you just send the money to the school? Why do you have to have somebody, saying that I'm going to give bursary in my constituency? You have set up a date to give bursary to people. Why don't you send the money to the school this person is going to? So if you have you have bursary being sent to the governor, there's a bursary being controlled by the MP. If say for example, Mzalendo, you are the governor, so you are being given 20 million bursary to control. I'm the MP, I'm given 5 million bursary to control. Why don't you take this money instead of giving you to decide on who is going to be getting it where? Send that money to the school. Tell the people, go to that school, show up. There's already money in that school waiting for you to study. You see this issue of every time when schools are about to open, you see MPs lining up that tomorrow we'll be giving. You see parents with their kids, unapigwa najua hiyo si kwanza usienda kufanya kazi, so you've lost on that day going to work. Then the money you have lost, you're not being given money, you have only been given a form to go fill. So why should I line up for a whole day to get a form to go fill? And then I don't even know whether my child is going to get it or not. Then I wait for another, 3 months to be given the bursary that is going to go to school. So I haven't gone to work. Economically, I have suffered. And you are giving me bursary because I'm suffering. So you've disadvantaged me twice. Why don't you just have this money? Check, say how many schools are in this county. We have 10 county schools. Bursary should be county specific for that particular county. How many schools are there? How many students are going there? How many assuming Mzalendo, you have a school. You know how many kids in your school. You've already done data. You know how many kids need bursary in that school. Or even you go to the chief, they go to which schools. Let's send the check straight to the school. Let's not have this thing of parents every time coming to. I see some of them lining up a whole day, and then the MP for them, that is now a celebration because they're going to be elected.
Then, but let me interject. Don't you think these MPs are very intelligent, most of them? Don't you think this is by design? It's not like they don't know they can do that, but they want to do that because they want it by design so that they can take some of the money. Corruption again.
That is why we are saying it should be stopped. I mean, we don't need. Why do you have 20 million passing through? Zalendo, you have 10 million that is given for bursary. Why should it pass through your hand again? And then you are employing bursary committee. Those people are being paid from the same money. So even the bursary that is supposed to go to another person, there's a sitting allowance that Mazarendo is going to get for the 1 week that is going to sit there to interview someone to get bursary. So you have been paid 10,000 to interview people. That 10,000 is enough fees for someone else. Why don't you, why do you have to have a middleman in the money that is supposed to go straight to fees? I don't understand.
You know, Temba, for a very long time, and I want us to always, each and every time, we advocate for this. Apart from just MPs paying your daughters or your nieces school fees, MPs are not our parents. They are not the parents of your children, uh, and their role is legislative in parliament. What is so difficult to come up with a bill for free secondary education? What is so difficult for these MPs to come up with the bill for free secondary education? Because most of this money is going for secondary education. A lot of it is going for secondary education. Why can't we have a free secondary education for all our learners? Because they want.
Mzalendo, listen. Even if it's not gonna be free, if we are giving, if everybody is going to receive 5,000, all right? Let's say, for example, I have in my constituency. I mean, by now they should be able to do that mapping. They know that they have in their constituency 20 children. They're going. You see, for me, I think bursary should be constituency specific and only constituency schools. All right. So if you're going to the constituency schools, then you know that this school has this number of people. Okay. If there are this number of people and everybody is getting 5,000, why should I give you the money so that you can take it to school? Why do I give you the money? Then we pay someone to interview you so that you cut that money further. Why don't you have the money sent straight to the school? Then we say in that school, every child who is going to come is going to pay 2,000. Or every child who is going to come to this school is going to pay a certain amount, because bursary doesn't cover every. I mean, they don't give you full bursary. Some cases they give you full, some they don't. So once you already know, take the school the money, and then there's money controlled by the governor. There's money controlled by the MP. Why don't we just send the money there? Then
and,
we
and,
tell
and,
the parents
and,
to
and,
look for the deficit.
And just the other day, Senate also, I think they're very soon they are controlling a certain amount also, the
And
senators.
even women rep. I mean, I
And
hear there's some for women rep,
now
and then there's also one for MCA.
MCAs already passed in their counties. They already passed 20 million that they will be controlling for bursaries and all that. They've already passed it in the county assemblies, most of the county assemblies.
So why do you have bursary? If you can have bursary, then send that money to school, then make education cheaper.
Remember, this is a question because most of these MPs are learned, and some of them have been in very in different careers, and you wonder you've never seen any MP with a website saying that I received so much money this year, 150 million. So much has gone for bursaries, and these are the names of the students, so that we wananchi can go into the website of that particular constituency and see how much these MPs have received from government. That should be a law. That should be a law, so that we see what they are doing with the money that is being given by the national government. Even in the counties, when governors were very new, when they were gray, when they came in, they wanted to a lot of accountability. You could go to any website. For example, if I go to the website of Vihiga or the website of Kisumu, I would look at what Anyang' Nyong'o is doing and the projects in the wards, and the money that they have allocated for various projects in the portal in their website. But today, just go to any governor's website. My governor, he has done so many. She has done so many projects, but zero allocation. You don't see the amount of allocation or projection that they are doing in those particular developments that they have done, and they have done it technically for you to avoid, for them to avoid being scrutinized by me and you. There's no amount that has been located, but there is a project that has been complete has been complete. If you go to your ward, you'll find that there is a classroom or an ECD class that has been complete, but you don't know the figures that has been allocated to that particular project. And when you come to the roads generally it is the MCA who is choosing the constructor of that particular road. Then they get their 10% kickback, and it is low. It is low. If you are given that money by the county, then the 10% goes to the local leader. So that is what is happening, and it is corruption throughout the country. And lastly, what the leadership, the MCA, the governor, the MP, why can't they sit down? Such because they have all these bursaries allocations, and they find out because how much the students in that particular county need in each and every constituency, and they divide it among themselves. Na hiyo ingine imebaki wakule. Why are they so greedy? Mbona wasikae chini? They cannot sit down. MP akae chini na senator na women rep and say that, hey, we have got this amount of money, so don't give double bursary. We have got this amount of children who are needy and they need this money, and others are categorize them, make sure that they get the money. So that is what is happening. We need to have a whole program of counties and how money is being spent in from county now 001 to county 047. So that will be done very soon. Lastly, because we are almost winding up this particular show, I had a projection of what is going to happen because we started this show with a Gen Z talk. Now we want to end it with the political talk that definitely the Gen Zs are going to be a factor in Kenyan politics. If we are not reading this, then we need to start seeing that they are the biggest factor in Kenyan politics. The establishment, the Raila Odinga, the Urus, the Rutos, and all that, uh, they form the establishment. They're the political leaders of yesterday. They depend on the tribal politics and the loyal supporters that continue supporting them. Now, Gen Z is a big factor in Kenyan politics. Do you guys think that? The numbers the Gen Zs have will turn around the Kenyan politics in 2027? Ashley, you've been quiet for a while.
Yeah, I'm reading the comments. I see some people in the comment section, Black and Makiadi. Tell them to come in. So someone is saying there, you see, they use this bursary. That's their petty cash to go and use it for going to campaign. And that is why it was returned, even though it was ruled to be unconstitutional. I believe they all know that they can do it better, but they don't want to do it better because they want to be corrupt. And that's why we need to know, how do we weed up these corrupt people so that we can have people who can work for the people. And that's the problem that we have in Kenya, that most politicians steal our money. That is why people remain poor. We don't have a middle class. We have the very poor and we have the very rich, and we have a vacuum in the middle. So sometimes you will see that the economy is getting better and you can't feel it because it's only at the very top. The very bottom remain as poor. And unfortunately, those people who are poor are also sometimes unexposed and semi-illiterate, so that they don't know. Like now they're happy that they have cabinet ministers that are from their tribe, yet their economic situations have not changed and will not change. And they are saying that their next 5 years they'll give it back to Ruto. So that condemns them. And then they start complaining about things not working. One thing I've noticed about our system is that it protects only. If you look at the police, it's like they are like personal police for the working, for the political class. Because like if a normal person goes to the police, they have to pay them to put gas in their car to come in. You have to almost beg them to come, and like if you have a case, they tell you they don't have fuel. You have to give them money for fuel. You have to bribe them. But if like Wanjigi needs to be, when they send the police to Wanjigi, they send the whole station to Wanjigi. So these police that are being paid with taxpayers' money seem to be like personal protection to the executive, to the political class when it serves them, but not to the people that they are supposed to serve. So there is a really big problem. And how it can be cured, I believe, if we have the right, if the head is thinking right, if the head is in the right frame of mind, then it will be possible for the whole body to also function. That is my suggestion. Because even if you look at the bursary, Ruto was on point telling them that he's going to give them, because there is a time it was not, they hadn't been given the bursary. Do you think Ruto doesn't know that he could do it better than the way he's doing it, giving the governors, the MPs, the MCAs, the women rep? Like, they are very smart people here. Some of them are doctors, some of them have masters, some of them have bachelor degrees. So it is not that they cannot figure that out. But if they do that, send it directly to the school, they will not have an opportunity to take some of it, and actually most of it. So that is why they are doing it this by design. So we need to find a way to get these people out. We need to find a way to put Gen Z, or not just Gen Z, it's not just the young people, because we also know that young people steal. It is not an age thing. And people keep saying, no, we need to put young people. No, we need to put people with integrity, people with character in places of power. And until we do that, we will continue to have a problem. My suggestion, which is an extreme suggestion, would be to require people who want to vote to go for a civic education, political classes, and until you get that certificate, you cannot vote. That will yeah. Then after you've gone for that class and you have that certificate, then you can vote. And then that will reduce the number of people who are illiterate that are being lied to and putting these leaders that do not serve the people in power. That is my conclusion, my closing remark.
Yeah. I think actually the people who are illiterate also need representation, just like the people who are educated. Society is not just composed of people who are educated. There are people who are illiterate and cannot read. They need to also be part of society, and their voices are also very important.
Their voices are important, but if they've been lied to and they are choosing bad leaders because they are being lied to, then we need someone who is educated in what they are doing. When you're choosing a leader, you're choosing them from an educated point of view, not to choose this. You can choose a different person from me, but you have to have a good reason other than that they're from your tribe. That's what I'm saying. So if you can go through that class and understand why you're going to choose a leader, then you make an educated decision. Then you don't have to be educated for you to go to the class and to be explained for what to look for in a leader and what not to look for in a leader, so that when you go to choose a leader, you make an educated decision. That's all I'm saying.
All right, Themba, your closing remarks, but I need you to respond to this chat, at least in 1 minute, just you, both of you. these are the demographies that we are going to look at in 2027. Uh, the Gen Z factor in 2027, the Gen Zs will be 33.4% of the Kenyan population. That accounts to about 18 million eligible to vote. Ruto plus Raila factor brings us to a close to 14.1 million votes in 2027. Remember that largely these Gen Zs didn't vote, but again, their vote also spreads among Ruto and Raila in numbers. Now, if they choose to rally behind any particular candidate, my opinion is they are likely going to succeed that particular candidate. What is your take in these numbers, Temba?
Okay. I mean, any political cycle that comes in, it comes with uh, the strategists and the people who are looking at that need to look at the numbers, and the numbers might mean something. For me, uh, one, our political behavior as a country and politics generally, it is it is rather too early to imagine them making a major difference or whatever contribution they will have come 2027. And this is the reason why politics is very dynamic. And the holding factor right now may not be the holding factor in about two years. The same driving factor right now may not be the same driving factor in the next 2 years. And our political behavior in our country, we have been organized largely for a long time in tribal or ethnic uh, uh, categories. And that's why the deputy president will stand up and say that as long as Mount Kenya, our positions. He was speaking in Kikuyu. He said our positions in the government is still intact. This is the deputy president who is not supposed to be. The presidency is supposed to be a uniting factor. It's one of the symbols of national unity. To the extent that if the deputy president is speaking, his people is the whole country. But when he's having the audacity to get into those vernacular radio stations and TV and say that whatever happens, our positions as Mount Kenya were not touched. For me, it tells you the our political organization probably being alive to the idea that whatever happens, come 2027, we are going to go back to our normal political organization and political behavior, where we are organized around our tribes, we are organized around an ethnic coalition. So it might be good for statistics, but will it be make a difference come 2027? We are yet to know. As at now, it is too early to say if they're going, if they're going to cause any, if they're going to cause any major disturbance in the political behavior. Gen Z, we may say this is a Gen Z, but we also need to appreciate that not every Gen Z and the so-called 18 million is not supporting Ruto. There could be some of them who are also supporting the regime, all right? And there could be some of them who are already ethnically inclined. You see, some of the things like you are saying, remember, if they do not have jobs right now, they are likely to go for the highest bidder, right? So for me, if I'm going to speak to the statistics, they are good. They tell us what it is, but in my view, they don't say much about what is going to happen in 2027, because between now and then, anything can happen in a political scene. Political 2 years is a long time in politics. For you to say that maybe because they were leading this revolution right now, it's likely to hold for 2 years. I don't think so. It is too long, and so fast. A lot of things are going to happen between now and then. So finally, I really don't think that Kenya, as at now, is ripe for a revolution. It is not. It's the more people think about reforming the system, other than revolution means uprooting the system, right? Now, Kenya, where we are, I don't think we are ripe for uprooting of the system. Number two, for you to do that, you need a lot of things to work on your side. You need the force to work on your side. You need the business community to be on your side. You need certain things to be against the government. That is not happening right now. The forces are not, I don't think they are with the Gen Zs, or the Gen Z or those who are supporting revolution. The business community, because they have pronounced themselves loudly every day, oh, we are going to change everybody, we don't have to see anybody. Those people are likely to coalesce and fight them back. If you're just thinking that it will happen, and then the more radical you become, the more you are creating a radical team against you. So if you're going to be to achieve certain level of movement, you might need to be calculated in the way you talk, in the way you issue your pronouncements, in the way you even talk in the media. Some of them may appear too dismissive and disrespectful, to scare away some of the population that would want to place trust in them. You see, so even their pronouncements, the way they behave in disagreement, tells you the kind of leaders they're likely to be. As a leader, you want to give an alternative. When you're giving an alternative, you don't expect yourself to. They say you can't solve a problem with the same mentality that created it. You can't be so disrespectful, so dismissive of everybody just because you think you're better. You need to show a difference if you're going to be the leader. So I think that is likely the population is also seeing, are these people that we can trust with leadership? Are these people, do we want to follow this kind of behavior, this kind of erratic behavior, So there's a lot of things that goes on in politics, not just hey, this one we go. Then if they are going to achieve anything, those who are pro-revolution, they need to have a clear-cut communication with the population they are going to lead. They say, it is Aristotle, I think Aristotle said that if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, then you don't know it. Whatever it is that you're going to do as a leader should be so clear that even a 6-year-old will wake up and say that this is what we are going to do. But if things have to be done in a way that we have to keep on asking, then what? Then what? Then what? And even don't worry. The only thing that we trust with that is the faith and the spiritual things, because those ones we don't ask a lot. They also pastors who preach, they preach by faith, and you wait. But you see, this politics practical, then you move from here. Like when they stand up and say that we'll chase all these people, and then we can even is a hypothetical situation. It's not a real situation. A law provides a process. So if you cannot be practical in that way, I think it disadvantages the cause. Other than that, Mzalendo, corruption is an animal that has to be addressed in every forum. And I think as we create systems slowly by slowly, you remember we were left to these corruption issues with the Wazungus who colonized us. So our colonial masters left us with corruption. And even some of these who are still coming in to guide us into what we are doing, they call them different names. They call them lobbying. But it is still the same thing. It is only when it happens in Africa that it becomes corruption. But in other places, it is lobbying. I heard the other day when Biden was trying to say about the big pharma thing, and he said how much they spent to try and defeat the bill that passed. They spent, I think he said, I don't know how many billions of dollars. You see, here they call it lobbying, but when you go to Africa, they call it corruption. So those are the same behavior. So it will take time for it to go away. There's also the businesses, the economic interests of those who are trying to come into that. So before these businesses can let go, it will take time. But we believe that a time will come when we look at Kenya and we say that at least if it doesn't happen in our lifetime, like they say that those who plant the tree may not be the ones who are going to water it and may not be the ones who are going to at least, eat the fruits. Let's hope or even enjoy the shade. That's why a time will come when the generations to come, they'll enjoy the shade. But pressure needs to keep on going. I think I want to stop there because I've seen Makiadi. How are you,
Oh,
Makiadi?
Professor Makiadi has just joined us and has been away for some time. Makiadi, we are discussing the future of our country and the transformation that the Gen Zs brought. Some people are watering it down, thinking that there was no real transformation that these guys brought in the politics. Uh, Moving forward, what do you see? What do you see a future of a better Kenya in terms of accountability and transparency if the Gen Zs can get their act together in 2027? Karibu sana Richi. Karibu.
Thank you my brother Mzalendo. Wacha kwanza niwasalimie nyote Ndemba. Good to see you here Ashley, and of course Mzalendo. I think I took a sabbatical from politics. Whatever I saw the past about 4 weeks was not impressive, and so I decided let me wacha niende nioge maji ya chumvi ndio nirudi kama nimekauka. Now, first of all, let me say this. I'm looking at your headline here. Kenya leads Africa in Paris. Sijui ni leadership gani Mzalendo umetuwekea hapa topic ya leo, because you can be a leader among the worst. Ukisema goes Africa, in what sense? In what sense? If you get 3 medals,
Four.
ni 4 mbili ndio za gold, alafu hizo zingine, I mean that is nothing to celebrate about, because I was looking at the Olympics na ninaona Kenyans wanakimbia for other countries. Bahrain, sijui hata there's a lady anaitwa sijui Kitavi ama Kitavi za Kenya, na alinyima opportunity because of corruption, whatever and them by saying here, na akaenda kwa nchi nyingine, they saw her talent na wakampatia opportunity ya kudisplay talent and she won a medal. So this thing called corruption in our country, I think is so much embedded in our DNA that it's going to take a long time for us to cure, to cure the effects of corruption in our country. Now, I know you are almost winding up, but I just felt like I must come in at least to, give my opinion about the situation of our country here. I think Mzalendo, you are an idealist. Tangu idealist ama idealist. Kama ni kizungu mzuri nimetumia hapo. In an ideal situation, you expect the electoral process to work in a country. But where Kenya is right now, when you display those numbers about sijui 33% ni Gen Z, sijui kura ngapi zilipigwa, that is in an ideal democracy, if there's something like that. Yeah, 33.42% is about 18.4 million. I like the way you call it Gen Z factor. There's nothing like a Gen Z factor in our electoral process as it currently stands. Ruto plus Raila 14.1 million. I don't know where you guys are getting these numbers, because even Chebukati himself was not able to prove how many people voted in the previous election. So I don't know where you guys get these numbers. I think we are being too nice to our electoral commission, with half of its members, half of the commissioners saying they do not know where these numbers came from. So it is good. It is good to be optimistic. I think the Gen Zs had so much faith in what they were doing. Unfortunately, we always have the so-called wasaliti. Unajua hata Yesu alikuwa na mtu ambaye alimsaliti, and he was the son of God. So what do you expect human beings to do? I was watching Wandai the other day saying that this is a turning point for Luo politics, and they are never going to be in the opposition again. So when you tell me that there's an election in 2027, the Gen Zs are going to bring, we are going to experience an effect from the Gen Z because of their numbers, I'm wondering which country do you live in? Maybe mzalendo umepotelea Virginia hapa mpaka umesahau maneno ya Kenya. Uchaguzi ya Kenya haikui determined na numbers zenye umeonyesha hapo. Those are ideal numbers. Those are numbers that will work in a democracy whereby the vote that you cast in the ballot box is the vote that is counted, and it's the vote that is announced. But in our country, those numbers do not matter. I think we failed. We failed the Gen Z. They had begun a very good thing in our country. I think if we supported them when they started their their thing, rising against William Ruto, we would have had a big change in our country. But right now we have gone back to default mode. Tumerudi default. We are probably even going to be worse than where we were before the Gen Z movement started doing its thing. So the opposition, so-called opposition, the minority has been disintegrated. You can see everybody is doing their thing. Kalonzo siku hizi namuona katikati ya wamama huko akianguka nayo. Amesahau ni politician. So we are done as a country, we are done now. Hii sasa mahali tumefika, mimi naweza sema ni maombi tu ndio itatusaidia, because Raila Odinga decided to put the AU first, the AU position first before Kenya, in front of Kenya. Sijui kama hii kizungu inaingiana vizuri, siku hizi hata imepotea. So Raila Odinga chose his career and decided, you know what, we are going to integrate this government to make the so-called government of national unity, so that we can help Ruto rule for the next 3 years, and probably the next 10 years. Who knows? Maybe even 20 years, because there's nothing that is going to threaten Ruto's leadership in Kenya. So as much as we are optimistic, I can tell you, I don't see light at the end of the tunnel. It was a good thing that we experienced as a country, but the politicians hijacked the whole process. And now, if you look at the people that are saying they are standing with the Gen Z, especially the parliamentarians, ni watu waine tu peke yake. You can mention them, akina Babu Owino, sijui Moshomba and all that. But you see, the effect that the movement had without political interference was so powerful. So when politicians try to hijack the process, it's not going to have the same effect as it would have if it was people driven. So unfortunately, Mzalendo, as much as we would love to say that there was change, I think we have defaulted to where we were. And probably, unless something big happens, because I cannot underestimate the power of the people. It has been proven. It has been proven that when the people come together and take power from the people that they bestowed power on, it always works. We have a case in point in a previous week, I think about 2 weeks or maybe 1 week. Sijui nchi inaitwaje hii, sijui ya Wahindi inaitwa namna gani? Mzalendo utanikumbusha jina.
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, thank you. Bangladesh walikuja pamoja, no political interference whatsoever. They came together and they dislodged their sijui wanaita prime minister ama alikuwa ni mama president, walimdislodge. And you know the military was there. The military was sent out to quell the violence, but the military saw there was the revolution was ripe. I think that is a good sentence. The revolution ilikuwa imeiva, and so the military decided wacha hii kitu yenye imeiva ichemke mpaka ive yenyewe, so they wakakaa kando. Unfortunately for our country, wakati tumefikisha revolution mahali inafika tunaweza sema imeiva, politicians wanatokezea huko, they sit down in a boardroom somewhere, wanasikizana, nitakupatia wanaume 2 3 4, uwapatie viti za CS alafu mimi ninyamaza, and then that's it.
Makiadi, you must understand that these guys ni biashara zao is what is being will be interfered with. Kama nchi imeharibika, angalia, I was looking
But
at
you see, Mzalendo, you know, it's not just the politicians that have businesses in Kenya. It's not just the politicians that have economic activities in our country. Let me say this. In an nutshell, what Kenyans chose is peace over freedom. That is what they did. So most people say sisi tunataka amani, msilete mvurugano kwa nchi yetu, afadhali tukae na Ruto kuliko Gachagua because tuko na amani, we don't want to go the Sri Lanka way, sijui anaita Sri Lanka way, and that's it. Now we are stuck with Ruto. Whatever he's doing right now ni kurudia zile kufungua zile whatever development projects za Uhuru Kenyatta. He is back to default mode, mahali tunamjua anafanyanga kazi juu ya magari. Yeah? He was given a little bit of freedom, a little bit of breathing space, and he is back to lying. Amerudi kwa magari juu, haizi fanya kazi kwa ofisi. So if you expect change in our country in the next maybe 2-3 years, kama Mise vile alikuwa so optimistic na Ruto, you will be lying to yourself. We are back to default mode and there's no light at the end of the tunnel unless sasa sisi tutembelewe na Mungu peke yake. Thank you guys.
But Makiadi, you want to agree with me that this thing failed because the planners failed. If they would have planned this thing well, it would have succeeded. Number one, they would have involved the ones who are on the political class that were dissatisfied with the system. You know, this is what I was telling Mzalendo just before you came. You understand, when you are going to fight, take the case of Sudan. I think Sudan, when they were fighting against was it Al-Bashir? Yes. The SPLM and there was another one that was called what? There was SPLM and what? There were 2 factions of rebels.
SPLA.
Yeah, SPLA and SPLM.
Yeah.
They were fighting together to get away from Al-Bashir. You get? Not because they liked each other, but they wanted freedom from the north. Now, when they got the freedom from the north, now is when now they started now saying, okay, now that we have gotten this from the north, now let us see how we divide this one of the south. And of course, that led to a lot of problems. So sometimes you may not need someone, but you need them to achieve a cause. The Gen Zs came out and they were bashing everybody, including the political class that did not agree with Ruto in the first place. Those should have been their allies because they had a common enemy. The common enemy was the administration of Kenya Kwanza. Not every politician. You know, once you know your target, you know, this is what you want. You want to achieve, first of all, to take over government. And we cannot take over government alone. SPLA and SCPLM realize that we cannot take it alone. Let's work together to get away from the north. So once you have already gotten out of there, now is when now you say, okay, fine. Now that we have now gotten from this regime, we have used your strength on this area, we have used our strength on this area. Now, how do we now move from here to start governing? But you see now when they came, when you come and you push these other politicians, you say, we don't even want Raila, we don't want any politician who has been there before. You're forgetting these people have a strength that they have already built over time that you don't have. They have a political base, they have money, whether you say they have stolen or not, they have it, you don't have. They have mobilization skills network that you might need, you see, that you don't have. So you actually set yourself up for failure. This Gen Z and their revolution, they set it up for failure. If they would have set it up for success, it would have succeeded. But they set it up for failure by, first of all, you know, getting off, dismissing, and thinking that, okay, fine, we can do it by ourselves. And then every forum you'd go, they would bash everyone. And then you would say the things you're going to do once you take over. We are going to investigate you. We are going to take all that money. We don't want you, all the civil servants. We want even these county governments. We want to kill them. We want them to be reduced. Those are so many people that you're fighting against. At the end of the day, you are bound to fail. You need to choose your battles. They say that you don't fight all the battles. Choose your battles wisely. What are the battles we want to fight? What is the battle we want to fight right now? So in my view, it was not because they were disappointed. It's because you created too many enemies and there are too many people now who are going to fight you. In my view, if they if they would have planned better, probably the results would have been different. Once you are going to fight, if you know that we are going to fight Mzalendo, and I know how many people are fighting Mzalendo. I know Makiadi is not a friend to Mzalendo. I know Mise is not a friend to Mzalendo. So what I need to do is, because we want Mzalendo down, and I don't like Makiadi too, and I don't like Mise too, and I know Mise doesn't like Mzalendo, let me talk bad about Mzalendo to Mise. So Mise will be my friend. Then I talk bad to, that is Machiavellian way. In the Machiavelli way, you focus on the prize. Once you have gotten the prize, now you start the other things that you want to do. That is part of the thing that, in my view, I could be wrong, but in my view, that is what lacked. So at the end of the day, they were blaming everybody for not seeing what they saw, but they set themselves up for failure.
Thank you very much, Temba. Mise Lem, I know you've got a lot to say. Karibu sana Afrika.
Asante sana. I honestly think I would be sitting back and listening from this balanced debate. I am very delighted on the comments of one Themba. Themba, I have lived the experience that you have just explained. And so in 2017, after losing elections from Kenya, I came back to where I came from, and there were elections for the community organization, the Kenyan community organization. And I was overwhelmingly elected to be the president of the Kenyan community in where I live. And I came in dreams, transparency and accountability, auditing since inception of the organization, create systems that are verifiable and accountable. And little did I know that the organization belonged to the small elitist in the country. And therefore, in between, they were getting grants and dishing, or rather celebrating amongst the few elite class. And therefore, when I came with that kind of wave, when I was campaigning, this kind of projection on the transformation of the organization attracted many people because this is what they wanted. And true to your words, the the few elite class ganged against my presidency, and I can tell you for free that I did not see the books of accounts. I did not have access to the accounts. I did not have access to every email that was within the organization, and nothing, no record. And until every other meeting that I had, every former president had someone in the board. Every resolution or any item that was put forward for discussion was shot down at the earliest at arrival. So I learned that I made enemies before I even got to office. I was very naive. I was very sincere. I thought this is what was needed for the common community. So your explanation is true to the fact that the 48 laws of power also reinforces that argument that you bring your enemies close and use others to bring or to fight your battles. So I can see that argument. I just wanted to comment on what you just said and agree with you that that is exactly, no matter how Ruto might have disliked Raila Amolo Odinga, it was a time when he needed it most for his convenience and other people, and therefore it was very necessary for that force. After all, it was the elite class or political elite class that was frightened, and therefore they needed to come together for a common purpose, a unity of purpose, a broad-based government for a purpose. I will sit and listen more.
Actually, Mr. Malcolm X, not Malcolm X, Karl Marx. Let me not to talk about Malcolm X for now. Karl Marx has talked about that he envisaged a situation where the working class will take over power from the bourgeoisies. But there's another writer who has said that the only time the working class can take power from the bourgeoisies is if they are supported by other bourgeoisies. You get that when the people in other people in power support the working class, the people who are working in the farm. So what this revolution needed is someone who was also dissatisfied. They needed to have at least brought Baba and his people to them, you see, and rally their targeted attacks on the regime and Ruto. You see, so very focused, very targeted. Find allies. They say even when you are going to fight, you need to find allies. You don't fight like you are the only ones. You need to get allies that are going to help you. The terrain, if you read Sun Tzu, the terrain is part of your ally. The population is part of your ally. So you need to find allies that are going to help you achieve your cause. After that, then now you can implement the things you want to implement. But if you start implementing even before you get there, you will get so many enemies. We want to kill you. We want to do this. We want to everybody should not, even anybody who has been in this government should not come back again. You can't make everybody your enemy. You will not go anywhere. That one is dead on arrival. And when they were going for that you remember Mzalendo, when that, what's his name? The revolutionary came here. I was trying to make sense to him. And they came here and say, you just wait after 8th. You guys will not come here. Then when 8th came, they say, oh, revolution takes time. It is not today. It will take. I mean, those are shifting goalposts. The thing is, if it can't work, it can't work. If it can work, it can work. You don't have allies. You can't work with whatever revolution you want to go to if you don't have allies. You must create allies. And then you can't fight battles when you're fighting everybody. Choose your battles wisely. And which battle do you fight at what time? You don't fight all the battles. Some of them are not worth fighting. You focus on the bigger war. So if you start fighting everyone, already you are setting yourself up for failure. You need to know what are the allies you need to create. And then also, institutions have been developed, those who have been there. So you need to see they are going to fight back. And it's Sanzu says that you can't go to a war if you don't understand your enemy. You don't understand yourself. So how much are they prepared for you? So those are some of the things that I think they failed. However, a reformation is more better than a revolution. Reform the system. It's possible for you to target certain systems that you can focus on. Focus on the basis. Start getting MCAs that are more youth friendly. Start getting those. Control the counties. If you have like 28 counties that are controlled by, Gen Zs, I mean, those people who are pro-revolution, you are likely to move to a certain step. And always remember, you might plant the tree, but you don't have to be the one to enjoy the shade. Revolution, like they say, information will take time. On the Bangladesh thing, Makiadi, you talked about, it took time, 15 years of misrule. Mpaka hata askari walikuwa wamechoka. So like you said, it was ripe. When a fruit is ripe, it falls. It doesn't matter what you do for it. And Mzalendo, now that Makiadi is here, you can progress that discussion that we are having. Maybe behind the tent, ukimaliza.
Yeah, Mzalendo commute. Wachani comment. Just let me comment a little because Najua it's getting late. But let me just make a comment here. I think people say Ruto is a genius. I don't think he's a genius, but I think he has mastered the art of politics. If the finance bill was what caused the revolution, so-called revolution, or failed the revolution in Kenya, then we default back to what Mbadi said: give Ruto his skunk. Now Ruto has given Mbadi the skunk. Mbadi is the minister, I think the CS for finance. Whatever comes out of the finance bill that will not please Kenyans, Mbadi will be the one to pick the skunk. We have an issue with the energy in Kenya. Energy is expensive, and energy is what runs the economy. Now, Opio and I will be the one to pick the skunk. In terms of cooperative development, I'm just going back to what people are saying even on social media. Watu wakikopa hustler fund wakose kurudisha, it will be Oparanya. Of course, Joe ni waziri wa madini. We understand why he was given that one. We will not go deeper into that. But generally speaking, I think William Ruto alifanya ile kitu Pilato alifanya. Munachagua gani hii? Munataka huyu? Yes, haya niletee besen mimi nawe. So that is what William Ruto did. Now, you have to prove to the people that these positions that you are given, you are going to bring new solutions, you're going to bring new ideas, ideas that will be pro mwananchi, ideas that will not finyilia mwananchi like the ones that were there before. Unfortunately, if anything happens that mwananchi feels these ideas or this proposal that you're putting in this finance bill or in this budget are not mwananchi friendly, they will start blaming you. Now, when they blame Mbadi or they blame Opio and Dai or whoever is, they'll be blaming the so-called opposition. Ruto will not be there to speak for them or to say this is the government agenda, because in the first place, he said he decided to bring these people on board. And Raila echoed what Ruto said. Raila said they came to us because they needed the experts. So things are going to get better because we gave them our experts. Those are the words of Raila Odinga. Oh, how I wish that he could just keep quiet, because things are going to get bad. The government does not have money, and people will start pointing fingers at Raila's side and not Ruto's side. Ruto amejifungua mzalendo, amejifungua minyororo yenye alikuwa amefungua. And I think once you get the presidency, that's the ultimate goal. You look at the prize, like Ndemba said, the presidency is the ultimate goal. The rest of the cabinet slots and all that, unaweza dish out to anybody. After all, watakuwa micromanaged na Faruk Kibet. So those are just positions. Those are just positions that you should not care about where you are president. It's about it's called politics of self-preservation. Yeah. And I think Ruto has mastered the art of that. If whoever advises William Ruto should be given a salary increment.
That guy, I mean, I'm telling you, that guy is smart, man. You see,
But
He's not.
smart.
Zalendo, just let me come in there. I want to disagree with Makiadi. There's something Makiadi said here that is going back on. Makiadi said that our politics is not organized like that. And the same thing. Remember during when Baba came into join the Jubilee, Akina Ruto and his people were in Jubilee, and Ruto was the chairman of IBEC or something. I mean, there were numerous even voice ops that were saying Ruto saying that defending the taxes, right? But that did not work. It did not work. They said that ultimately the responsibility of running the government is with the president. I mean, we are not speaking from something we haven't had a precedence. We have a precedence of this particular scenario, where Ruto and his side, the Tangatanga side, were in government. But they took all the positives that, according to them, worked with that government, and all the negatives blamed on Uhuru and Raila successfully. So I doubt that will hold come 2027. The same narrative that was used is going to be used. But the good thing is this: Raila is not going to be in the president. In my estimation, he's not going to be in the ballot come 2027. So he's probably going to be some very nice arbiter somewhere in AU. If he doesn't get it, it's going to be some nice advisor to a certain person who's going to be running. And in this case, going by what Akina Wandai said, then they are probably going to support Ruto for the second term, right? Because going also by what Gachagua is saying, he's seeking friends. And some of the friends he's going to be seeking is the uneasy person in Azimio, and that is Kalonzo Musyoka. So those guys are likely to go together. And if the president decides not to pick Gachagua for the second term, then Gachagua is likely to join Akina Kalonzo. I doubt he's not going to be with him. He might stick with the president for his own political reasons, so that he calculates for 2032. And then Gladys to finish the Homa Bay thing. So this thing of Ruto blaming them, yeah.
Gladys to finish what? You mentioned Gladys.
The Homa Bay thing, governor for 10 years. I think she's gonna go there and finish her 10 years. If I don't think she's gonna be correct. People are trying to pull out. Oh, she's gonna be deputy president. I don't think so.
you see, Themba, you're
So,
just
but let me maybe finish what I was trying to say. That the assertion that Makiadi is making, that whatever is happening now is gonna be something that's gonna work against them come 2027. I don't think so, because it is possible, if indeed they are not going to form a coalition, these guys might walk out en masse towards the end of 2026, right? And the only thing they need to say, it is difficult to work in that place. We tried. It was already failing. You see, it can be counterproductive. So I think, and even if they stay, then it will be the same thing that happened with Uhuru and the Jubilee. They'll say, yes, tulikuwa hapo lakini hiyo ni yeye ndio president. So I think it is not a done deal, Makiadi, in my honest estimation. Probably, I could be wrong, but in my honest estimation, I don't think it's gonna. It's a give or take. It's not like this is it. And Mzalendo, allow me to drop off. Ni
I
saa
thought
saba huko. I don't know what time it is.
I thought you were to have a conversation with with Makiadi behind the tent, so we can have it on a later date.
Can we do it on Sunday? Makiadi, would you have some time on Sunday?
Yeah, I can find time on Sunday. Mkirusha feed nitachungulia, but Themba, before you
No,
drop,
can we do
yeah,
a three-way call, WhatsApp call?
Oh yeah.
yeah, unajua Sunday inakuwaga siku ya kanisa bwana. Sisi ni watu tuna spending the whole day in the in church on Sunday, so I heads up. Mimi ni choir master bana, lazima ni train watu kwanza ndio.
Makiadi bado naimba madilu, lakini hata kama ni kwa master
lazima ni train watu the whole day kwanza ndio tuingie kupresent hapo, so just a heads up, itakuwa mzuri. But
so nini jioni namna gani?
We nishtue tu, just
ama
send me
wewe utatuambia ukitoka kanisa ama namna gani?
Anytime you're free. Unajua Makiadi hata na namba yangu, I'm sure ana namba yangu, wacha nikupatie namba yangu hapo as on the comment section.
Unajua ninatumia simu saa hii, wewe fanya namna hii, Themba na namba yangu, you can get it from
yeah.
Nitakutumia namba ya Makiadi, niko nayo. So Makiadi, ulikuwa sasa ni kwanza ni drop, bali nimefika saa 7, nataka kwenda kulala.
Hapa mimi naona ni saa 7 hapa, nataka Mzalendo pia kwa Mzalendo ni saa 8. Let me just say this. Let me just say this in 1 minute. Themba, I think hii story ya kusema ati it might not work. Okay, I agree. Somehow I agree. But let me tell you here. For William Ruto to agree to cede these positions, such powerful CS position, is because he knows that there's nothing that these people will do. There's no change that Opio and I or James or Mbadi are going to bring into this government, because he knows the coffers are empty. These people have always told us these coffers are empty. And you see, without the finance bill, the so-called finance bill yenye whatever ilikataliwa na Gen Z, there's nothing much that is going to happen in our country in terms of development, and people will see that the government is not doing its job. So the IMF gave the government a target. They gave them an ultimatum on what to do so that they can continue funding. But when we rejected, so when I say rejected, I mean Kenyans rejected the finance bill or whatever, it was like hitting the last nail on the coffin. So I can give you an assurance that this government is not going to do anything. And because William Ruto has calculated hapo mbele akuje kusema ya kwamba I gave these people an opportunity also to bring new ideas na wakashindwa, then you are the one to blame. You know, he knows very well how to cry foul. You cannot take that away from him. So believe you me, even if they walk out in 2026 evening before election ifanyike, they will still carry the blame with them. There is no two-way about this. It's as simple as that. If William Ruto knew that his ship is going down, he decided to go down with all the rest of the politicians, including the opposition. And there's nothing that they're going to change that. They wamejipaka matope na
Mhm.
na hiyo ndio mwisho ya wao. Simple.
You nailed it, Makiadi. You nailed it, and you know, Themba had said it earlier, but he forgot that he said all warfare is based on deception. Sun Tzu, you know, Ruto is misleading Azimio into a war which is not even there, and is going to win that war. He's not going to win that war, and the only way he's winning it right now. But in 2027, they are all going together. They're all going to be swept away together. Na nakwambia that, take that to the bank. Wakenya wanapendaga kusema hivyo. Those
No,
guys
you
are
can't
all,
be so sure. Politics, they
uh,
say politics got to be 100%. Now, you
we
guys,
ain't,
naona Black ameingia hapa na Black akiingia hapa
ain't
tutatoka hapa.
we ain't going back.
Mi yangu
Black,
ni
Wacha niende,
fupi tu, yangu ni
wacha
mafupi
niende
tu.
bwana,
sema ya
wacha
mwisho,
tuonane.
wacha Black aseme alafu tuende.
Mi yangu tu ilikuwa ni sentence moja. I just wanted to say that first of all, I'm Jambo Makiadi Temba and Mzalendo and the viewers at large.
Mimi
You know,
naenda bwana, acha nikalale. Taongea.
enda. Sasa now the thing is this, Ruto is not stupid, si mjinga. It does not mean that amesahau kwamba these are his opponents, so hajajisahau. So just having them these guys in his cabinet does not mean that they are now suddenly good friends. Of course, they're still scheming against each other as they are even right now. No. And but more so, what brought me here is the fact that I listened to the interview by Kuria on one media station on TV, that is. Na alisema that at his time at the trade minister alikuwa akipata investors na analeta, and then kila akisema ameleta investor out of bureaucracy anaambiwa hapana, achana na huyo. Kila akileta investors anaambiwa hapana, achana na huyo. So he failed to understand what is the issue, and it's like there are other forces that are controlling decisions at State House. That's what he was trying to put. So I don't know if any of you ever listened to that interview. Yeah, Kuria.
Ulikuwa unataka tu comment, tuta comment siku ingine. Black, good to see you here, lakini wacha nikwambie kitu moja. I hate people who wait until they are fired ndio watoke nje wakuje kusema huko ndani kulikuwa kunachomeka. So mambo ya Moses Kuria,
the likes of Ndungu.
Yeah, akina Ndungu. Exactly. Akina Ndungu.
That guy, that's the guy that he pissed me. That guy pissed me the most. He pissed me the most.
So a gentleman, mtu ambaye ako na principles zake ni ule anaonanga this thing is not working out, anapeana resignation letter yake na anakuja anasema, you know what, I have tried to advise these people, but if you are enjoying the trappings of power, uko na chase kambele, unakula mshahara ya wananchi na unajua mahali umekaa, you are not going to bring any change by virtue of you being in that government or in that position, and then you're still holding that position, alafu baadaye unakuwa fired, ndio unakuja kutuambia nothing, hapo hakuna kitu, then you lose my respect. So ile kitu Moses Kuria anasema, I think Moses Kuria is a jilted lover. Ni mtu ambaye bwana yake ameoa bibi wa pili, na akaona sasa hata ile pesa alikuwa anakatiwa mwisho wa mwezi imepunguzwa, so lazima atoke nje kuongea. He is wasting our time and we should not even give him any.
All right. Wacha tumemaliza
Yes.
show bana, tumemaliza show. See you guys. Thank you for being part of Africa this evening. Asante sana Makiadi for coming. Themba kama umelala. Asante sana Black and all the guys who are in the comment section. We have done almost 4 hours on this particular topic. So karibuni tena leo jioni. Maybe we'll have something new for you. But thank you for giving me company. And we hope to see you later in the evening. Asanteni sana.